Hello everyone and welcome to episode 113 of the Xbox Full Gamers Podcast. This week I'm joined by Cameron.
Hello.
Keo.
Hello.
And our good friend Brad.
Hello.
As always, we're doing the show live on Twitch. We've got a couple of people in here. We've got Martel and Left for Legacy joining us. If you want to come say hi, Xbox Hall of Gamers is a place to find us. If you happen to be watching the VOD or listening to the audio version, we do the show live each week, usually on a Friday. But otherwise, jump onto our Discord to find out all of our scheduling stuff, along with other events and bits and pieces that we'll talk about throughout the show. Do we want to get straight into our community question? I don't know. What are we thinking?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah,
Sure.
Great. All right. So our question asker extraordinaire, Mr. Logic Dad Isaac, says, hey guys, have you ever gone for achievements that require you to set a timer? Maybe one of those that you need to remember to play every day, or maybe one of those that require you play at a specific time or day? Thanks for the show. Oh, thank you for the question, Isaac. It's a really good one.
The most recent example I can think of would be a little to the left.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's just, I guess the most recent two that I can think of are Tycho and a little to the left because they use that same 100-day mechanic. Saying that, I think prior to it, I haven't really seen many of these time-based achievements in a while.
Solitaire is the one that always comes to mind for me, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone
Actually,
waiting on the Stanley Parable?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
true.
a good one too, yeah.
That's 5 years, isn't it?
I think there's one for like 10 years now, which is like
10
super.
years.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Super Go Outside, I think it was called.
Yeah, right.
Stuff for me, I'm doing the crew, and like every 12 hours I'm jumping on and doing the faction points.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Other than that, Halo Wars 2 dailies.
That was the one that one was really buggy too, and like
It
very,
was so
very
annoying.
particular.
Yeah, because everyone, like, we were all doing it, but we were all doing it. It was unlocking on different days, or we wouldn't get it. And yeah, I know someone we had to go like 2 extra months at least before he got his.
Yeah, I
monthly
would jump onto the
money.
game twice a day to make sure that it counted, just to be like double.
That was the worst one.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I've played like a range of games where you've always got your dailies, your weeklies. Like Gems of War, I played for quite a lot. That's got a lot of daily stuff. That's got a lot of weekly stuff. Now I'm playing Final Fantasy 14. That's got bits that I'm just getting into.
Oh yeah.
And, Destiny. Destiny is pretty much dailies and weekly. Like,
Yeah, at that point with
game.
Destiny, you're just waiting on people. So
Yeah.
I feel like there was a few games from like, I want to say like 5-6 years ago now that I was logging in daily to do like 7 logins in a row and those kind of achievements.
oh
I can't think of
yeah,
names off
yeah.
the top of
There's
my
stuff
head.
that you have to do it every day for 30 days or something.
Yeah.
There was Unreal actually. Last year I was doing that as well.
Right.
Unreal Tournament 3. So
I'm trying to think of the game.
30
that
days.
Got,
yeah.
There was a card game that me and Adrian were playing because there was a server shutdown related to it.
Gwen?
No, it wasn't Gwent. It was the one related to Smite.
Oh, yeah. We played that. Hand to God.
Yeah, I think
like
that
that.
had a login achievement if I'm
Probably.
not mistaken.
Adrian's in the chat. Fable Fortune, he says.
Fable
Yeah.
Fortune. Yeah, that might be another one that I.
I still log in every day for Neverwinter just to get my daily reward. I haven't played that game properly for months.
Yeah. I should be doing
I've
dailies
thought
in
about
Final
going
Fantasy
back to
14,
that,
but I have not
yeah.
been. So
I mean, like I have VIP for the next like 100 days or so I get a key every day. So I just keep logging in to make sure I pick it up, and then I've got like over 1,000 of them at this point because I just have played that
That's
game.
the loot box keys?
Yeah, the loot box keys. Yeah, so I just like I have so many of them that one day when I go back to the game, I'm just gonna open a million loot boxes and just hopefully I get some good shit out of it. So I can actually kind of get back into that game at some stage, but not anytime soon, I don't think.
well, this is one for Brad. Like, he's doing Final Fantasy 14, and I actually have. Do I still have it up? I'm going through and adding the fish to the little list that I made.
I haven't started fishing yet. So.
No. Yeah. It's got like 12-hour every week, every month. Like, there's a couple of fish that only show up in rainy conditions on certain days of the week and
Oh, wow.
stuff like that. So, and there's like 1,460 fish. So,
Fuck that.
That's right.
for
Insane.
an achievement.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
my monotonous grinds.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll be right there with you, buddy. When you get into fishing, I'll be there. Be there. There's spearfishing. You can go underwater now and do some spearfishing too. So
I'm trying to like see any games that I've played recently that have like login stuff.
I mean,
It's
there's
not
always
as
like
common
the
on
old
the Xbox, right?
Calendar Man for Batman.
Yeah,
was
that's
one.
exactly what I was thinking. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, Calendar Man for Batman.
I've done every version of that Calendar Man too. So
I mean, there's there's
still haven't finished a single copy of Arkham City.
Ugh, I need to do the 360 version.
There's the day specific achievements for Halo MCC. That's the only one
Yep.
other one I can think of.
Yeah, I saw had an achievement for playing on Christmas Day or whatever it was. That was a fun one.
Yeah,
maybe saw two. Maybe.
Sorry, I've got to
all
hold off on Christmas breakfast. I've got to get this achievement.
Yeah, real busy.
When all the discourse was going on around Suicide Squad, I went and looked at Arkham City, but then it wasn't backwards compatible, so I couldn't be bothered.
That's my it's
I've
so
got
annoying.
a 360, but I'm pretty sure I don't have a working 360 controller.
Yeah, nothing
Why
like
don't you
reselling
return
you
to Arkham City.
copy.
Yeah, but you don't want to start it again if you.
No, I'm not going to do it again.
Yeah, Arkham City is actually, and I'm probably considering our event might be one of those games that I try and chip away at finally.
Yeah, I got to pick up a new controller, and I got to buy a hard drive because I've got one of those the Xbox Slim E, I think it was.
Oh yeah,
where they have the different style of hard drive.
Gotcha. Yeah, right.
So I got to get one of them.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. I was thinking today, like my Halo 3 Xbox 360 is the loudest thing in this house. My wife is like, "Oh, it's okay. I work with babies in like a baby room in a childcare center," and she's like, "We put this on," and she showed me a white noise app, and it was exactly the same sound. I'm like, "Oh, white. Well, you might as well just go to sleep then." So,
that's so funny.
Speaking
that's what it's
of
there
that,
for.
I think like there was one of the. This is like back in RGS days when I was in the very first unit when Persephone was born. Her little walker thing played like the musical tune to Pallet Town. And it was just such a weird coincidence. I'm like, this is 100% Pallet Town. But, I mean, is the Pokemon Company coming after these, like, little toys?
Well, at least it's not Lavender Town.
Yeah,
Mess a kid up.
Yeah. We also have another question here from Char. It says, I have a question for the team. How many controllers do you each have? Do you use all of them or just have a favorite? Do you think there's an optimum number of controllers to have? I currently have 2, and I alternate between both my favorites, but I want to have 4 so I have enough to play multiplayer games like Crash Team Racing, and 1 extra that's just for PC gaming, but I want options from others.
Yeah.
Sorry, I want opinions from others.
Yeah, I've got 2. I've got the rechargeable dock battery, so I've got one that sits on the dock, and I've got one that I'm using. As soon as that one dies, I just swap them over.
Yep, makes sense.
Yeah.
I got the original one that came with the console, and I've got the one that Kirby sent me.
Yep.
The red and green one that you guys all hated.
Oh, yeah. Forgot
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
Looked all the same to me.
I've got the Elite 2 that I got for Christmas. Someone can't see the front because of my green screen. Well, it was more based on the Metroid stuff actually, but yeah, I think Iron Man as well. So
It looks
like I was all like Samus Aran colors and stuff. So
I've got 1 controller for this PC, which is just one of the white ones that came with the Series S, I believe. I've got my 20th anniversary, the transparent green one. I think it's green. And then I've also got my Design Labs one, which I've had to replace like twice already because they wear out so fucking quickly.
Yeah.
And I've
Cameron's getting them all out.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course he is. This question was made for Cameron. I've just been vamping, so he has time to gather every fucking controller in his house so he can juggle them. I think I have a couple of like spare ones, like without battery packs or anything, just kind of hanging out if I need to plug them in for an extra couple. But yeah, like I feel like having like 2 or 3 controllers is probably the way to go.
Yeah,
I mostly just use I use my green one for the Xbox. I use my I bought the purple. I bought a purple one, the Storm one or whatever it was. It's quite cool. I got that for Christmas.
the Storm Vapor one,
I think
the new
so, yeah.
kind of.
Yeah, I've got it. I don't have it on me at the moment, but I use that as my like my laptop one.
Every time I see them at work, I'm like, they just look like the crotch area of sports pants.
Yeah, that's,
What?
I can see that.
And I can't get that out of my mind.
I can
I'm
see
just
what you're
like,
saying. Yeah.
Whatever happened with that third party thing where they shut down a lot of controls? Did that ended up killing off like the Cronuses and all that? Or
No.
No, I don't think it ever
Still
actually
working?
came of it really.
PlayStation did an update back in Jan, I want to say. that
yeah,
called
I
out
saw they
Cronus,
did the same, something similar. Yeah.
And Cronus put out a response. I think they fixed that functionality. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I know most of the problems around like fight sticks and some other stuff like that.
Yeah, I
we're having
saw
issues
a
with.
lot of fight sticks but issues because they're custom built stuff.
Yeah, right.
I mean, technically, it should just affect anything that isn't an Xbox third party, so or has that Xbox licensing.
So how many controllers do you have, Cameron?
Define controller.
A regular standard controller.
All
We're
right.
not talking about like DJ Hero or fucking Guitar Hero.
And
or
we're
any of
just
that shit.
talking about the
I've got a
Xbox
Guitar
One,
Hero.
Xbox Series consoles, and not the
Sure,
360?
yeah, just those ones. Yeah, 360 stuff doesn't count.
Okay, so I've got the Duke from Heineken.
Oh yeah, I forgot they brought that out.
It doesn't work, but I've got it just as like a display piece. I've got the Forza Horizon controller with a nice grip on the back. There's another one in my house. I have the custom ones I made for TIC to use at events. I have the 20th anniversary edition one with the Phil Spencer, when everybody plays, we all win.
Oh right.
I have
highly relevant right now.
Yep. Elite 1 and Elite 2.
You know you can only use one controller at a time, Cameron. Just reminding you.
There are achievements for 8 players, which these come in handy
That is,
for.
I guess that is fair. I guess if you're gonna double box it, and yeah.
360 wide for whenever I need that. I've got a pink one of those as well for Persephone, and a black one for me whenever I need a wide controller. And then the main ones that I use, the most.
Oh, that was just the auxiliary stuff.
This is all the display stuff essentially, except for the
Right.
360 stuff. I think it's called the Stella, the purple glow.
Yeah, Stellar Shift, I believe.
Yeah, I think that might be the one I picked up. Yeah.
So that one I picked up because I just got given a $100 gift card. I'm like, I don't know what else to spend it on in the store. I may as well just get another controller.
For the man that has everything.
I would think the most prized one in my collection would be the Sea of Thieves one,
Oh, that's a good one.
which I've lost the box for, which I'm really pissed
Yeah,
off about.
that one I actually really want.
Yeah.
If you can get me a
So-
Titanfall one, I'll swap you.
Oh, no, that's like, isn't that worth like 5 times that?
No, I think they're on par, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh.
But
I thought the Titanfall ones were supposed to be way up there.
and then the main one that I run is the one that Kirby got as a gift, which is the one with Shadowless Edge on it and the black and purple, and like with the grip and all that stuff. And then there's a few others in the lounge room that I'm too lazy to grab at the moment.
Yeah, so a lot is the answer, Char.
Yeah, I have a few, but, mostly just use the one.
I mean, I mainly just use the Shadowless Edge one, but I've gone through a phase of collecting as many 360 peripherals as I can. So I've got the, not Buzz, but is it CNET?
Seen it.
Oh, yeah.
I've got 2 sets of them. I've got a whole bunch of the microphones for lips and all that. I've got as many Guitar Hero controllers as I could grab. And then I have the Logitech steering wheel.
It's a good list. Just need that
I got
drum
the
kit, eh?
Uplay draw tablet.
Oh my god.
I've also got
I've got that as well. I've got that.
I have
That's
the
somewhere.
I have the Tony Hawk skateboard.
Oh, no.
I have 2 of the Just Dance.
Did that actually
mats.
work?
Yeah, it doesn't work well though. It's
What a
very
surprise.
gimmick. I've got the not Just Dance, Dance Dance Revolution dance mats. Because I picked them up for I think $50. I'm gonna play that when Persephone's old enough. And I've got the Rock Band 3 Pro guitar.
This explains why you need the extra room in your new house.
Yeah, a lot of them.
Just
are
to
in
fill it
boxes.
full of shit.
I want to put it all out on display. I just need like it nice enough to do it.
Oh, gee.
That's what shelves are for.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
right.
this is I've got a thing going behind me. A lot of my crap. you know.
All right. Let's move on to the news then, because Cameron will just keep trying. He'll keep trying to convince us that he doesn't have a hoarding problem.
I don't have a hoarding problem. Anything else other than Xbox games?
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
That's okay.
If you have to caveat it, all right. Well, it's quite a bit of news this week. Most of it fucking depressing. Yep. But I guess we can start with this Toys for Bob news, which I guess is kind of, we're not sure yet, but
I think it's a good news story.
Okay. Sure.
I mean, given the fact that they downsized, what was it, a week or two ago?
Yeah.
Do you want to go for it?
Yeah. So Toys for Bob basically announced today that they're going to be spinning off as an independent game development studio, which is interesting.
Yeah. They've done some good stuff, so.
Yeah. They created Skylanders. They also did the Spyro and the Crash Bandicoot stuff. Like, they've done a lot of really, really good games. It's interesting to see. They put out like a very small statement, which is pretty, usual corporate stuff. But they said, our friends at Activision and Microsoft have been extremely supportive of our new direction, and we're confident we will continue to work closely together as part of our future.
Did they get bought or did they buy themselves out?
Well, that's kind of what I'm curious, right? Because they were part of Activision Blizzard, the Activision Blizzard purchase. Like, the Activision owned them. So, did they buy themselves out? Was it like, hey, you buy yourself out or you get shut down? Probably not.
Yeah,
because
that's what I mean. So, like, are they private now? Are they public? Yeah.
Well,
I guess so. Yeah.
Well, they're independent, so.
Yeah, but that could mean anything.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I think they're keeping it very hush at the moment. I'm interested in, like, our friends at Activision and Microsoft have been extremely supportive of our new direction. We're confident that we continue to work closely together as part of the future. Is it a case of they just essentially gave them an ultimatum of, like, we don't want to work on Call of Duty anymore. This is our out. Let us do this or we're all leaving.
Yeah, well, they said that they're exploring a partnership of our new studio and Microsoft. So, again, this might not even be called Toys for Bob. They might have to rebrand it. I don't know whether it's like, I don't know. It's very.
I don't think they'll need to rebrand it. They got a recognizable name. They've got IP.
Sure. Yeah. Definitely. I guess it's just.
Yeah. No, it'd be interesting to know whether or not they're taking anything with them.
That's
like any of the IP.
They would.
So,
I think it would cost way too much to both separate and take any IP with them.
I would,
unless they had like significantly big pocket investors, or again they're private. Hey, maybe Embracer picked them up.
No. You're not allowed to make jokes like that anymore. No, not cool. Not cool.
I don't know. I mean, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft. Well, with the purchase of Activision Blizzard, I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft were able to scoop up just the IP and then let Toys for Bob go and do their own thing. And, maybe they'll make new IP. Maybe Microsoft will have that existing relationship, let them make stuff under the premise that it's exclusive.
Yeah, maybe it's again, like, we don't know, right? But maybe it is some sort of tit for tat deal, because they say if we're working on a partnership with Microsoft, and it's like, okay, well, why would you want to work with a partnership if you just became independent from them?
I mean, they'd probably still need to drum up some sort of income to start with, because let's say that they did have to leave all the IP behind and everything. That means they're probably going to be cooking for 2 or 3 years at least before we see anything. So if they get like a gig through Microsoft where they make a side like Crash or Spyro game.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
They just do like a side. They basically contract out the IP to Toys for Bob and do side games. Exactly what you said.
Yeah. And then once they've built up enough capital, they can afford to develop their own new IP, then they will.
Well, they might have some ideas already, because the last paragraph was, so keep your horns and eyes out for more news. So there might be a little bit of a hint in there, maybe.
I mean, the rumor was that they were already working on a new Spyro game during the acquisition. So I get the feeling that maybe this is a contract to get that done, or maybe it was a negotiation to say, hey, look, we'll get this done to release it, and you guys can publish it. And then want to be.
Yeah, when you think about it, not really in their identity to make Call of Duty games, right? So they want to get back to what they know that they can like really do good at. So
yeah, I mean, platform is what they do. All they really need to do is just get a whiteboard with a bunch of animals, throw a dart at it, and that's your game.
All right, I got the color
Viva
blue.
confirmed.
I've got a hedgehog, and I've got going really fast.
Shit.
Well, let's see if Sega wants a partnership. Yeah, I'm very I like Toys for Bob stuff, so I'm curious to see kind of what direction they go in. And how much like are they going to do like a hey, one for me, one for you kind of thing, where it's like hey, we'll like you said, like we'll do a Spyro for Microsoft, and then we're going to do our own IP, and then maybe we do another one, or be very curious. It seems like a bit of a rough time to be spinning off an independent studio, but I'm wondering if it was like the alternative. Let me just put it this way. If you're starting an independent game studio in this environment, what was the alternative for that business? Like, I get maybe it's like, hey, this was you go independent, or we have to do some serious.
That's a good point. Maybe it's an ultimatum. Maybe it's like, oh well, if we're on the way out the door, then let's just go independent as a team.
Yeah.
The thing is there actually a bad environment? Because, like as we said earlier, everyone's still making money, so it's not like the people aren't buying games; they're just spending too much making.
But there's no investment. Is the big problem at the moment.
I will just say the last thing that they did make too was Crash Team Rumble, which wasn't received well.
Yeah, that's a fair.
That was like Mario Party style.
Yeah. Like Crash Bash was back in the day, basically. Yeah.
Probably for team-based competition.
Yeah. So it does. I mean, like, hey, look, they'll spin it whatever way is positive. It just kind of comes off as a bit of an interesting time for the move, considering they've just finished the merger. A bunch of people are getting laid off. They just downsized this studio.
Yeah,
I mean,
they couldn't afford their office anymore, so I think they're all remote working now. Which I think is probably the best time to do it.
Probably, yeah.
So, what do you reckon? New Toys for Life Viva Pinata? Working with Microsoft?
Yeah, I mean,
I would love Toys for Life to come back.
A little Kinder Surprise Pinata video game situation.
Oh yeah, I got a Soap McTavish that I'm going to chuck into fucking Skylanders.
I feel weird. Like, I would love for Toys for Life to come back, but I don't think it's ever going to if they're
no. There's no like that model relies so much on retail, and retail has it's never going to happen again.
Retail won't support it if they're going digital.
No, fuck no. So it'll the closest you get is like a Starlink that has like a digital version or something, and then they do.
It's a shame that everything is digital now, because I don't know if you guys would have ever played it on PlayStation. There was a game called Monster Rancher.
Yeah, love Monster Rancher. Yeah,
you could generate each monster you generated was by putting a different CD into your PlayStation.
It was the most insane shit I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was awesome. So you'd go raid your parents' music collection and see what shit you could get out of it.
So strange.
Why does that just sound like Scanners, but a video game?
It 100% was that.
That's actually what it was, yeah.
Cool.
100%.
But good.
What? Scanners was a product of its time.
Scanners was shit.
Scanners was a product of its time.
Didn't we make a podcast about Cameron watching movies?
Yeah,
because he didn't see movies.
Scanners is that. Yeah. Anyway, we're not going down that rabbit hole. But yeah, I guess we'll just wrap it up by saying, like, I'm curious to see kind of what happens with Toys for Bob.
Banjo.
Like, maybe like
I want Banjo. That's all
maybe.
I want.
That's like maybe they just
that's rare.
Well, it is, but Microsoft own all of it now, so they can do whatever they want. And Rare hasn't put out a fucking good game in a long time.
Sea of Thieves.
I don't like Sea of Thieves, but Sea of Thieves has been very successful for him.
It has been very successful. When did they put that out?
2016, 17?
Yeah, it's been like that's a half a generation. Since
we'll see how Everwild goes. Hey,
I was gonna say, where's Everwild anyway?
That's that weird cartoony looking game they were making, wasn't it?
Maybe. Like, who the fuck knows? They showed one trailer and then they said, yeah, we've restarted development like 4 times.
Yeah. But hey, it worked for Dead Island, so,
Yeah.
I mean, Dead Island was a pretty good video game.
Dead Island 2 apparently is not too bad, so.
That's what I meant. It worked for Dead Island 2. How many times did that restart development?
A lot. About 3 or 4, I think.
It went through like 4 dev studios, yeah.
It did, yeah.
All right, rip the band-aid. Get over and done with this Star Wars news.
All right, so everyone's favorite IP, Game of Thrones. No, Star Wars is it's over. We're done again. Just like how Xbox is done, as Star Wars is done. So EA just announced that they're having big layoffs. They laid off 5% of their workforce and canceled a bunch of stuff that was going on.
Yeah.
So apparently the talk is that there was a Respawn's first-person shooter game that they've canceled was a Mandalorian game.
Yes.
Which sucks because I would have been incredibly excited to see that.
You could say that the workforce is not with them.
No, okay, all right.
No.
Oh no, that's yikes. I like it, but also that's terrible.
It's like, yes, it made me laugh, but at the expense of 670 jobs.
Yeah,
which I don't think was worth it.
The move will see EA sunset a number of future licensed IP, which is kind of an interesting thing considering that.
All right.
They're pretty much just saying we're going all in on Ultimate Team.
But yeah, well.
Okay, so this is the problem I have with the industry at the moment. Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
Just going into more detail.
Hot take incoming.
Yeah, hot take incoming. Basically, with all this EA announcement, it all funnels down to they cancelled the Mandalorian bounty game. The team will be spread onto other projects such as Apex Legends, Black Panther, Iron Man, and the next Star Wars Jedi game. It's understood that EA's restructuring will see its pivot to focus on its biggest franchise, with the upcoming Mass Effect and Dragon Age from BioWare still in production. Going forward, we can likely expect EA to double down on its Apex Legends, Battlefield, Black Panther, Dragon Age, EA Sports, Need for Speed, Skate, Star Wars Jedi, and the Sims IPs.
That's still a lot of IPs.
Yeah. Okay, so number one, it's a lot of IPs, but the trend that I'm seeing over everyone in the industry is obviously layoffs, but there seems to be like, unless you're breaking off and getting funding somehow, which nobody seems to be doing.
Because there's no money to go around, yeah.
There's not enough money to go around. Everybody just develops the safe bet. We have no innovation, and we're stuck in a cycle of just repeating entries. That
I mean, in all fairness, EA has been in that cycle for quite like EA are the kings of that cycle. They put out yearly releases.
But I would say the exception for the rule there is like stuff like Dead Space and that, where they were going back to the roots, making remakes.
Sure, but it's still like not new IP. That's a half step, if that, right? And like I'm glad that it happened.
It's still a fucking good step for EA though, compared to where they were like 10 years ago.
I guess, but what we're saying is that like there probably isn't going to be a Dead Space 2 then.
Which sucks because I think Dead Space 2 would have gone off.
The EA business model or business cycle goes like this. They say single player games are dead. We don't give a shit. We're doing multiplayer all the way, baby. Then they release one single player game that is an absolute banger, like Jedi
Fallen Order.
Survivor, or Fallen Order. Yeah. Then they go, oh shit, maybe this is doing okay. They throw all their money into single player games. Most of them do shit, and they go, oh wait, back to multiplayer games, and that happens every 5 or 6 years.
But if they backed everything multiplayer, I would have a fucking Titanfall free by now.
No, you wouldn't. That's the thing, is that like because
that got cancelled, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. you would have more Apex Legends, basically.
That's fine,
and that's
the half step that I can live with.
It's really not though.
I didn't mind Apex.
Yeah. I mean, sure, I don't mind Apex, but
when was the last time you played Apex?
When I got all the completion, and then I moved on. If they added title updates, I would be back on it. But
you can't say you like a game if you won't play it just to play it.
I mean,
I don't know if I can go with you on that.
It's a hard to real estate. That's the problem.
Yeah, there's too many fucking games.
Yeah.
I guess like from an IP perspective, EA's in a bit of a weird spot, aren't they? Because I don't know, like Apex Legends obviously is doing relatively well for them. Battlefield did not do super great.
Battlefield is not in a good spot.
I mean, they've got it back to a better spot. I completely forgot that Black Panther was happening.
I'll add on the other bit about Battlefield that I wanted to mention. Speaking of Battlefield, following the departure of Battlefield narrative director Marcus Leto, which I believe he was one of the creators originally of Halo, right? I think. Anyway, I might be wrong on that. He was the narrative director for the Battlefield franchise. EA is shutting down Ridgeline Games, which is working on the narrative, storytelling, and character development for the next thing. And then the staff of Ridgeline will now be folded into fellow Battlefield studio Ripple Effect, while Criterion's Danny Isaac and Darren White will step in to oversee the upcoming single-player content for the game.
Okay.
So,
I mean, I'm not expecting much, to be honest. I mean, like, Battlefield hasn't been good for a little while, unfortunately.
I'm worried about BioWare, out of all things.
That is my concern. That was what I was going to say, is that, like, BioWare hasn't put out, I mean, even a game for quite a while, and they haven't put out a good game for a generation.
Yeah,
Like, the fact that studio still exists is on name brand alone. They have 2 huge IP that they are that they're developing for that we have not seen basically anything about.
So Andromeda was 2017,
and it was bad.
Isn't EA BioWare like a ship of Theseus like situation?
100%.
So
100%
BioWare did do the Legendary Edition for Mass Effect. I was kind of like, did they get another studio to do the work on that? So they have put out
the same game.
I mean, it's the same game, but it would have done well for them, I would assume.
Well enough that they are making another Mass Effect. But, like, what was
Dragon Age
Inquisition? Dragon Age was 2013, right?
14, but yeah.
2014, yeah. That's 10 years ago. Like, I mean, I still haven't finished that game yet, but
Yep, same.
but like, fuck me, like having a game in development for 10 years, or well, I don't know, like maybe not development for 10 years, but like we haven't heard anything about Dragon Age for a long time. And then even now they start talking about Mass Effect. Like that's not coming out till after Dragon Age. Like they're not doing a simultaneous launch, or they're not going to switch it up. It's not going to be like, oh, we're going to get Dragon Age, and then 6 months later or a year later we get Mass Effect. Like, I don't know. EA's single player stuff is just in such a weird spot. I mean, like obviously, I think that Jedi 3 will be fantastic and will do
Jedi
great.
3, I'd be interested in like how Black Panther and Iron Man are received.
Again,
they probably just struggle when they can't copy and paste something.
That's I don't know. I just EA I think my point is that EA doesn't do a lot of original stuff at the best of times, and we are getting towards the worst of times.
Like some of their existing IP, I think, is handled pretty well. Like The Sims, for example. It'd be interesting to see how Plants vs Zombies.
What's the last IP that they came up with that was their original IP? I think Dragon Age might actually be it.
I guess Titanfall probably is probably the.
You mean EA or BioWare?
Yeah, EA in general, because they bought BioWare.
Well, they bought Respawn as well. Titanfall was already established IP by then.
Yeah, Wild Hearts was the last thing that actually came out like that. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, you're probably right. Yeah.
Wait, did they buy BioWare after Mass Effect? I think they did.
Yeah, because Microsoft published the original game.
Yeah.
I think Apex is the.
Apex is probably the correct answer. Yeah.
And it's in the Titanfall universe, but
for whatever that means.
I don't know how I feel about Apex because they took a bag from Square Enix to put Final Fantasy characters in it. So
they did. That's true. That is
like, now Final Fantasy is great, but that's kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel. Like, where do those two audiences overlap?
I mean,
right on this fucking podcast, apparently.
Where does Fortnite's audiences overlap with anything?
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. We talked about this the other day, where it's like EA IP kind of seems like it's in a bit of a weird spot right now. I'm not super excited about a lot coming out of EA at the moment. I mean, like Jedi 3, but that's not going to be for a long time.
No.
So that's pretty much it.
I feel weird about it because if you tell me like, all right, Apex Legends I've already done, fair enough. Black Panther I'll play, Iron Man I'll play when we actually see stuff. Star Wars.
But like, who knows when that's happening? Like,
exactly.
It's so
Star Wars Jedi 3. I haven't played Survivor yet, but I'll probably play 3 eventually. The Sims IPs I'll probably play at one point. I enjoyed The Sims 4. It was easy. Need for Speed I'll definitely play. Skate I'm excited for. Like they do have some, like Skate's been taking a while, but
Yeah.
I think they just want to make sure they, land it correctly. And yeah,
I wonder how long they can rely on like the Star Wars and Marvel stuff, because the CEO of Disney, they're finally starting to actually realize that gaming is a huge market
You're
that they
taking another
just don't really
stab at it
touch.
after the
So they might
disastrous.
even decide to spin up their own in-house studio at some point.
I mean, it didn't work out for them
Why-
the first time, but the market is very different now.
why do the work though when you can just put everything into Fortnite?
Also,
Because Disney are very, what's the word?
money hungry, greedy, want to take a cut,
Oh,
controlling.
yeah, all that stuff.
Mm.
But they're also really careful with their IP. They want it displayed a certain way, and the best way to do that.
I mean, they did that though the last couple of years through Fortnite already. Like
Kind
the
of,
punishment,
yeah.
But going back to it, the one thing I am very concerned about, like I know you're more concerned about BioWare, but I'm concerned about like Criterion and that. If anything happens with EA, I don't want to see like Need for Speed.
I mean, if you want to talk about like Keo's like Ship of Theseus, like Criterion is.
I know.
How many people at
I-
Criterion are still the
Need,
original?
Need for Speed Unbound though, I enjoyed except for the music. I feel like it was an upward direction from the last.
I've got it installed. I do need to. I'm still doing a tutorial, but I will go back and finish.
Yeah.
I will argue though the Crew series is a better series
I
than Need
would
for Speed.
kind of agree. Actually, the Crew Motorfest was surprisingly good.
Just because it's Forza Light though.
Partly, yes.
Yeah.
Nearly every development studio is a Ship of Theseus situation. How many studios that are 10 plus years old still have all their original members?
Oh, for sure. Like not all of them, right? But but if you have none of them, that's kind of a usually
You'd want those leadership teams to still have a few.
have some level
Yeah,
of
that's
consistency.
what I mean though. Most of the big names that made the big titles, they're not around anymore.
Yeah,
Or they've
they
just
spun
moved
off to make their own
around.
studios, which is the way of the
I
industry.
can't think of what his name is right now, but the guy was the narrative director for The Last of Us this week said that like he's got like
Druckmann.
one more big game in him and then he's probably done.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, games take
There's
so
only
long.
so many times you can remaster The Last of Us.
It's true. Yeah, this is very true. Maybe they'll go back to Uncharted. All right, let's move on. Saber Interactive, everyone's favorite question mark studio.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, is this the one that we thought was a port studio originally? And
Yeah, they
weird?
are a port. They are a port studio. That's
God.
that's how this.
Yeah.
I mean, look, just because you start as a port studio, like a lot of developers start as port studios. To be fair, like I don't want to be unfair to them.
That's how they make their money, so then they can go and do their original idea. And
yeah, and their original idea
this one
is
was
to be
just
sold for
sketchy.
$500 million by Embracer Group because they desperately need some cash.
It's so sketch.
Do they
So
take
sketch.
KOTOR with them, or is that dead
Yes, apparently yes.
All right, break it down, Matt.
Okay.
So Embracer is selling Saber for $500 million.
Yep.
Which is a decent, quite a bit actually. Apparently it's being sold to private investors, which is kind of a weird it's
Hedge
not like
fund.
it's not a game developer or a game publisher swooping in to pick them up. And there's been some talk around Embracer around every publisher is just sitting and waiting to see how low the price gets for all that stuff before they sweep in and get
Oh,
it with
yeah.
a price.
They're
It's
eventually
THQ
gonna
all
be an
over
auction
again.
house. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting to see someone is pretty keen on getting this. Someone definitely sees some cash in this Knights of the Old Republic remake.
I think the idea of Knights of the Old Republic is a great idea to remake. I just don't think.
Oh, 100%. It definitely needs it. But I mean, but was it Aspire Studio who were doing it originally who got it taken off them?
Yeah, it was.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, you're thinking of the Aspire got it taken off them.
Yeah. The same studio that put
sorry.
out the fantastic remake for the Tomb Raider trilogy got taken off the Star Wars KOTOR remake.
Real shame. But to be fair, apparently the cultural thing, again, it's all super speculative because we don't know what actually happened there. But the rumor was that they were very unhappy with how the project was progressing.
Yeah.
But yeah, Saber apparently continuing to work on it. So, I mean, obviously they don't own the IP because it's Disney, but it looks like yeah, I don't know. Like again, we haven't seen much about it since that handover. They did say it's still in development, and they were like, "Hey, no, we're still doing it. It's not like gone." But
Well, it was on indefinite hiatus for a while there,
exactly
wasn't it?
right. It was kind of a question mark. Is it still an exclusive to PlayStation? That's another question. I don't know.
I mean, if I don't understand what the problem is, if they actually make it okay, it's a guaranteed
It's a big seller. Yeah,
it's a
people are gonna buy it.
guaranteed seller. Yeah,
I'll fucking buy it. Like
yeah,
Knights of the Republic is one of my favorite games of all time. Of course, I'll play a remake.
exactly.
That going back to that game is like being stabbed in the eyes. Like it is.
Okay.
It.
So that's not a good sell for me.
Look, I love that game, right?
It didn't age well.
It did not age well. Like it is very early Xbox era.
Yeah.
And like mechanically, like we've like BioWare have learned so fucking much as they made more games in terms of like how to structure a tutorial world, for example, or the part of the beginning of the game where it's like, hey, guess what? You're playing a Star Wars game. Do I get to be a Jedi? Yeah, but like not for like 15 hours. And also any of those level ups that you got during those first 15 hours of the game, no, they're probably going to be wasted. So look, I love Knights of the Old Republic, but it is
A product of its time.
very much so, very much. I mean, I bought an original Xbox to play that game because my PC couldn't run it at the time. So like I was very very excited.
Yeah.
Second one
Have you
also.
ever played the MMO?
I never played Tor.
No, I loaded it up when it went free, I think, just to check it out.
Yeah,
But,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, I was like,
always you hear about it a lot because apparently the writing's like amazing for it. From what I
yeah,
understand.
it was one of those
Yeah.
things that just like was really really interesting, but unfortunately was attached to a fucking MMO.
Do we think that maybe the games that are upcoming were kind of like on the verge of being cancelled, maybe, and they just needed to do something about it? Because
Potentially.
you look at this list: Space Marine 2, Jurassic Park Survival, John Carpenter's Toxic Commando, Expeditions, a Mud Runner game, Quiet Place, the game, and Heading Out. So like 4 of 6 of the ones on their websites. This is from their website. So this is basically the Saber Interactive's. Yeah. So it's their upcoming games, and like 4 out of 6
Wait,
of them
they're doing
are
Space
IP.
Marine too.
It's on their website, yeah.
Wait,
they're working on it. Yeah.
Focus Entertainment is the publisher
Yeah.
Yeah,
for that, and
I actually
yeah.
didn't know they were the ones developing it.
Yeah.
Because that looks like
It looks really good. That's
Skillup did a preview of it, and he said it was insane.
It looks great.
I actually really like the look of this Jurassic Park one. So
maybe you're okay. Maybe it is like, hey, we've already got a lot of investment from a lot of other IPs, and they have a vested interest in their games coming out, and their IP's not looking bad. So we're gonna, we'll work something out to get the studio out of Embracer, so we can actually get these games fucking made. So it doesn't just fall, collapse in on itself.
Yeah, maybe Embracer still gets like a royalty sort of.
Well, they get 500 million to put together against the 3 billion or whatever that they owe.
They're in the hole, yeah.
Oh, boy.
I mean, it wasn't a bad plan. They just got screwed in the end.
I mean, it
was a big risk.
It was a big fucking risk.
Didn't pay off.
Yeah. We also never found out what their grand evil plan was at the end of it.
I think it was just the CEO was an investor, wasn't he? So he was just like buying.
Well, the whole plan was to sell it to the Saudi royal family, essentially.
They were going to get $3 billion for something ridiculous.
I am glad that it died off, but
I'm sure, like
that would be terrible.
A few years down the line, we'll have some Embracer employees say something to Jason Schreier, and he'll put it into a book.
Yeah. I'll read it on Bloomberg. Yeah, we'll talk about it on the podcast.
Then he'll hold on to it for 5 years.
He'll hold on to it in 5 years and put it in a book. That's it.
Yeah, hey, that works for me.
I don't know if that's actually what happened with the whole assault thing. I just know that popped up on Twitter once or twice.
Apparently, that's what happened with the Activision Blizzard stuff. I don't know.
Yes, apparently.
Yeah.
We also changing tack completely here.
I was going to quickly just add while we're talking about all the news. Gearbox is apparently trying to find a seller at the moment.
Yes. Well, apparently they may have found someone.
Yeah.
We don't know who it is, but apparently that there is something going on in terms of like it being sold.
Just after that Borderlands trailer, that just looks so If it's a
I
meme.
think the Borderlands movie is going to be fine. I don't think it's going to be like a smash hit. I don't think it's going to be like garbage. It's just going to be okay.
It's going to be okay. It's going to be middle of the road.
And really, that's probably the best thing they could hope for.
Really though, I mean, like that IP was so fucking huge before Borderlands 3.
Games just don't translate well.
No, they
for
don't.
live
I mean,
action
well,
movies.
we did a whole fucking
they
spin-off show
can.
based on how badly they did.
It's like,
but
When was the last time
okay.
a good live action film came from a game?
Okay, so the closest thing to Borderlands would
one.
probably be Twisted Metal, right? And Twisted Metal.
yeah,
was
which the Twisted Metal
received really
TV show
well.
is apparently quite
Yeah,
good.
that's but that's
like-
at least on Earth, so it's cheap.
It can be done. I think if they were going to do the movie, it would have fitted better in this, like, in the premise of like Tales from the Borderland.
Yeah,
Like,
I
one
get
or
what you're
two
saying. Whereas,
characters.
like, it's not just the characters, but it's the world.
Yeah.
And actually, yeah, I think we'll
Like do
probably
like
work.
an anthology style sort of thing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
we-
I'm thinking Inglorious Bastards.
Actually, yeah,
Yeah.
something along those lines would be pretty good. Yeah,
I
Tarantino's
just-
Borderlands.
I just think like a premise set in that world would like be so much better. Like you look at the Halo stuff, yeah, and the Halo TV is nothing like the games, but
True.
Which
like
pissed a lot of people off.
which pisses a lot of people off, but is really popular for people that aren't Halo fans. They could have done the exact same thing with Borderlands.
Well, I mean,
True.
I don't know the guy's name. I know he's from The Wire, the main character. The quote that he said about the helmet, and then everyone's like, "Dude, The Mandalorian's one of the biggest shows ever. No one gives a shit
Yeah.
to keep the helmet on."
He did say he
Wasn't
regretted
Pedro
the sex
not
scene,
even
though, so.
in it like half the time?
No,
What's
no,
that?
Pedro's usually in the suit.
He's
That was his
usually-
whole
No,
thing.
I do remember saying that he wasn't actually in there as much in season 3.
So yeah. First season for sure. He was like the helmet
Yeah,
stays
yeah,
on.
yeah.
Helmet stays on even in the cast photos, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, apparently Borderlands has a seller. Like they're going to be like they're finalizing some sort of deal. Who the fuck would buy it? I'm not sure. But Randy Pitchford says that hey, like yeah, it's happening.
Maybe Microsoft bought it.
Yeah.
Maybe like, but I don't know. Like probably not. Like I don't know. I mean, it could be. I don't know. EA needs a genre. I don't know. Like, it's yeah. I don't like who would be the.
God,
No, PlayStation
with
need a
how-
first-person shooter, don't they?
I mean, they need some
They
live
can have
service stuff,
Borderlands.
but they also
I
have no money. Like as well, I think the stat came out. Well, they made like 6% profit on
Which is, like,
last
really
year's
low
on
for them.
last quarter, like the Christmas quarter where you make all your money, and they made like 6% profit, which is insane. I think yeah, it was I think it was on Friends Per Second they were talking about it. It was like the numbers are just
The cost of AAA development is just staggering. Them.
yeah insane.
well,
So I don't think we're going to see Borderlands 4 anytime
it's
soon.
not the cost of
Oh.
it is staggering. It's that they decide to throw staggering amounts of money at the
Well, that's like again, like the cost is whatever whatever it gets scoped as, right? Like, there's a whole conversation to be had around like, well, make the games fucking cheaper then.
Yeah, well,
But yeah, that's a whole different kettle of fish we can get into at some stage. And then just a couple other stories. Just some Gears. Rod Ferguson was talking about Gears of War multiplayer achievements, being like, yeah, they kind of ruined the game by putting them in there. Because people would be like, and I was like, I had like a flashback to when I was 15 and playing this fucking game and being like, yeah, actually that was me. I was like being like, hey, I need my 100 chains. I was like, hey, I need my 100 sticky grenade kills. So I'm just gonna start running up to people and just hitting them, and I'm gonna die at the same time, but it counts as one, so I don't give a shit. Yeah, I was a real fucking asshole. I was like, well, I don't. Gears of War was literally the only game I owned on the 360 when I first bought one because it's all I could afford. So I was like, I'm just gonna play it. Like, what am I gonna do? He kind of went through. There's not a huge amount to say there, although he did say that
I think
he
I think it's
yeah.
an interesting discussion piece. So like, he was on a recent episode of the My Perfect Console podcast where he spoke about how Xbox achievements were a catalyst in getting him to check out the different origin stories in Dragon Age Origins. Conversations soon
a
turned
great example of achievements that game
Yes.
is actually.
yeah.
The conversation soon turned to achievement design, where Ferguson, who created the achievements for Gears of War and several other games, said you can break a game if you're not careful with the achievement list. Xbox achievements can have an advantage because they're basically advertising for a feature. So where I saw positives of achievements were, hey, there's this thing you don't know about because it's new in the game, it's an innovation in this game, So if I say go do this thing 10 times, then you'll go look at what the achievements are. You'll go try it, and then you'll be like, oh, I understand this new mechanic. I designed the achievements for Gears early on, and I learned that you can break a game with it. If you look at the Gear Wars achievements, there's multiplayer stuff that ruin the game because you go, okay, chainsaw 1,000 people, and you're trying to win the match, but this knucklehead next to you is not caring. Sorry, this knucklehead head called Neomaster 2005 next to you is not caring and is just trying to chainsaw people, and you're like, why aren't you trying to win the match? And it's like, I'm not. I'm trying to get an achievement. And you're like, oh, okay, we're at odds.
He did also go on to say that, like, yeah, if you look at our Gears, like, we've progressed our achievements and they made them so much better in later games. And I was like, I mean, I guess, but you've also made them the grindiest, most bullshit stuff in the ever.
Yeah, it's sort of counterintuitive, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't only break the game, they broke the people making the game.
I haven't played Gears since Judgment because of them. So thanks, Rod.
I mean, Judgment, you could say they broke the achievements themselves.
They did. This is true.
Ferguson's on Diablo now, isn't he?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
Well, he's not really doing much better then, is he?
Well,
I think Diablo's a fine achievement.
What do the achievements for Diablo look like? I haven't actually.
Oh, the achievements are fine, but Diablo is
the game itself. Yeah.
It's like reach level 100, reach level 50 of a hardcore character.
Beat all the stuff's not that bad. Uber Lilith's probably the only real pain in the ass.
Yeah, right.
I would say in terms of a achievement list, Diablo 4 would be pretty much on the fine side. Like different experimentation with different class, but not expecting you to go too far in.
Yeah.
And then,
but I mean, that's not like
different playstyles.
I don't know.
But yeah, I do think they shouldn't. Most games shouldn't bother with online achievements because the only time that people are going to bother with them are the people that are going to target farm them.
Yeah.
People that are just playing the game because they enjoy the multiplayer don't care that much.
Exactly, right. Like, they don't need... like, Titanfall 2 is a great example of that, where they had a couple of online achievements just to kind of get you in to play a little bit, and the rest of it was like, people just played that game because it was fucking great.
Yeah, if you want to get people... Like, for example, Assassin's Creed, they probably wanted to try and get people to actually try it because that was pretty unique. So just doing, like, play 5 games, fine.
But then they get level 50 or whatever it was in Brotherhood, and you're like, oh,
and then you got a group of 8 people having a circle jerk and knocking each other out.
Oh my god, so much of that bullshit.
Just going back to it, I still think games like Mass Effect Andromeda are the best. Games to have.
Where you have an alternative way of unlocking the achievement. That's so smart, and I really, I kind of understand why they don't do it because it's more work, right? But it seems like something that would just be kind of a no-brainer for that.
I mean, the only exception would be, of course, if you're on an always online kind of game.
Yeah, but which you shouldn't be doing. You should not be doing. No one should be doing.
In the state and format. It seems like such a waste.
Yeah. Last story is just... Oh, yep.
I was going to give one more example, like reach level 40 in a single player mode or reach level 20 in multiplayer mode, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Make your multiplayer twice as easy. But if somebody misses out, they can still have access.
Still earnable, yeah. Remedy bought themselves, basically. They bought their IP, so they bought it off IO5, which is great.
Yeah.
Control? Yeah.
That's good. Control. Yep. So they're going to be... They just need to get Quantum Break now, and then they're kind of set. But apparently the game sold over 4 million copies, which is fantastic. Net share revenue around £100 million or euros, I think that is. So yeah, long-term strategy is to gain ownership of their IPs, which I think is good news. I mean, I'm really glad that. I mean, like Control almost didn't get made, so it is. I mean, 505 did them a solid in that regard, but I'm glad that they kind of are getting that ownership of it, so they can do their own thing and not have to be beholden to anyone really. Because if there's any studio I want to see just do whatever they want to do, it's fucking Remedy.
Yeah. I would say like the timing with it's probably right too. 505 announced back in November they were shutting down France, Germany, and Spain studios, and they just finished it yesterday. So
yeah, they probably used some cash. Yeah, 505's in a bit of a rough spot.
Yeah,
as is most of the industry. And then this last story is that MultiVersus might be coming back.
Do you know how it got found out?
No.
Edmund Trand, that used to be used to be over at Games Hub, now working for Skill Up. He found out McDonald's Australia leaked a whole bunch of the Happy Meals.
Oh man, that's so funny.
Oh, did you see that America does adult Happy Meals now?
Stray does. Stray does adult Happy Meals.
Do they?
Yep,
Really?
You can get
I don't know if I really want a dildo from McDonald's. Like, I don't know if that's...
Not that. I think it's called Kerwin Frost, and they're like different nuggets, and you can like take them apart as like nugget center, put a hat on it. Yeah, it's really weird.
Sounds like those old Transformer toys they used to have.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know,
Those were awesome.
Yeah, I love those. There was a weird thing that like fries that turned into anyway.
It's such a waste though. It's like $15 for like a 10 nugget adult meal.
I mean, McDonald's is already too fucking expensive.
The true Happy Meal is the KFC, you know, popcorn chicken bucket.
No,
This is true.
The true Happy Meal is a Zinger box. A KFC.
The Zinger box is usually my go-to at KFC too.
Yeah. Me too.
Sunday morning Zinger box. Can't beat it.
I do miss when the popcorn chicken first came out and you could get it in the large size, like the large. They basically just took the large fries and just fill it with popcorn chicken, and now it's just you get like a regular or a mini because there were like too many people were dying or whatever.
So we've got regular and maxi over here in Australia. Back in the early 2000s, I remember my nan like directionally across there was like a movie cinema, and she took it to KFC after. They had these shaker things with like a clear tub and lid, and you know, like you got shaker fries and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
there was nacho cheese flavored popcorn chicken. There was salt and vinegar. It was amazing.
Weird.
They brought them back.
Salt and vinegar would go hard.
Salt and vinegar was good. They brought them back like 10 years later, and they haven't done them since.
I'm fucking hungry. All right, let's keep going. This is,
I mean, we could go on a whole tangent of all the different products KFC has tried over the years.
You really got to sort of that sponsorship, Cameron.
I just saw the other day that in the US they're doing pizza. You know, they're using like the chicken fillet thing.
Yeah, it was originally in Singapore.
Putting cheap pizza on top of it.
Okay, all right, yeah. So it's like a double down.
So does anyone care that MultiVersus is coming back?
Not really, not at all. I mean,
look, if it brings discontinued achievements back from the dead, it's great.
Great.
If it does a new stack, not great.
I get the feeling it'll just come back. I mean, they did say they weren't planning on it being gone forever, right? Like there was.
That was always the plan.
I think,
mean, you know, we didn't. No one believed them, but they did say that.
It's weird. It's kind of like the Gigantic situation. Yeah, it's just
well, Gigantic like shut down. They were like, we're done.
Whereas in this, it kind of feels like they've just like, all right, we're going to take a step back. Obviously, the newer characters and that weren't working. We're going to reinvest in this idea and try and get some hype around it.
Because the whole thing was that like it was like kind of beta kind of thing that we were saying it was like early access.
Which it was received well, and then it just died.
I mean, of course it died. Like it was a fad thing, like in the same way that like a lot of like Pal World and a lot of other these things just kind of like
it had
exploded
media
onto the scene.
attention.
They just need to go out and be honest about who they are. They're just Smash Bros for people that don't have a Switch.
That's fair.
100%
I mean, maybe they could get Pal World characters into the game. That would be the ultimate.
Oh wow. Yeah.
I mean,
well, they've got Arya from Game of Thrones and all that. So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, geez, 2 Game of Thrones references.
I don't understand how Warner Brothers does so bad. They own so much good stuff.
I mean, there's so many studios that just don't know their ass from their fucking elbow. But Warner Brothers in particular just do not know how to make a fucking video game.
Well, it's because no one that makes games apparently plays them these days.
Yeah, apparently.
I mean, as soon as you become a game dev, all you want to do is make games, so.
Poor Rocksteady. Let's get into the Game Pass updates. We've got a few things coming.
All right, so nothing leaving for this month, so stuff joining. We've got Warhammer 40k Bolt Gun on March 5th.
Yes, that I'm looking at.
Yep, same.
For sure.
Lightyear Frontier coming on March 19th, which is the robotic kind of farming game.
It's the farming sim.
Is that the Poor Man's No Man's Sky?
No, it was more like Stardew Valley, but you're in a mech basically. Yeah. And it was kind of like chill vibes, but also you're a robot. It got shot off years ago. I think it's like 4-player co-op and stuff. So like it looks.
The trailers had that thing that they do in games like The Division, where it's like, come on guys, let's go this way.
Yeah.
You know, the really robotic kind of like,
this is how human beings talk.
Yeah.
I imagine this is going to be one of those games that might have an achievement world. Like looking.
I suspect you might be right. Yes.
March
might be a
19th,
nice one to do though.
MLB The Show 2024. So, sorry, I haven't put leaving in there, but we can safely assume MLB The Show 23 is probably going to be leaving.
Yeah, probably.
March 28th, we have Diablo 4, and March 28th, also, we have Open Roads, which I believe...
Is it coming out? Is it confirmed?
It got delayed from last month, so I think it's fine.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
If it's the one I'm thinking of, I'm very... Is it the daughter and the woman in
the daughter, on the road trip one. It looks nice. It looks really nice, actually.
Is that Annapurna or?
That's a good question, actually. I don't know who publishes it. It seems like the kind of thing they would publish.
Yeah,
it is
Open Roads,
Annapurna. Yeah.
Cool. And that's what's coming in March.
I'm very curious to see what's leaving.
We've still got Soul Hackers 2 leaving. It looks like it's still up,
yeah.
For another day, yeah.
Falconeer Bulwark is coming out Feb 26th, and I'm kind of holding out just to see if they
March 26th, you mean?
Yeah. I'm holding out to see whether Thomas makes an announcement for Game Pass.
Maybe, we'll see.
I'm hoping. Otherwise,
might get another shadow drop. You never know.
Yeah.
All right, you want to talk about our wonderful themed month and book club? You want to do a bit of a wrap up from last month and what we're doing now?
All right. So last month's theme for book club was Brotato and Gotham Knights. I managed to get through Brotato, but I still see quite a few people working through it because God, the runs in that game just take forever.
It's so fucking
Yeah,
hard.
yeah. I'm just chipping away at it.
Yeah, me too.
I
did get through Gotham Knights though.
Yep, got Gotham Knights done as well. That was surprisingly very fun. Saw a few people get it done. I think Mikkel's got like 2 achievements left as well. So yeah, that was good. Book club, we all voted yesterday, and the winner out of what was the games that we had? We had Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night. We had is it Alucard? Alucard, sorry. I always keep thinking Alucard, which is not.
No, that's the other vampire thing.
Yeah,
that's Castlevania, buddy.
What else did we have?
Stranded Deep, Little to the Left,
and Maneater. So the winner was Dead Island 2 by 9 votes.
So not a huge surprise considering it shadow dropped and people have been waiting because everyone's like, I'm not buying that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was kind of. I might do Bloodstained Ritual of the Night.
That's not bad. That was an easy game.
I'm debating whether we do 2 games a month, just in case people.
Let's see how many people get through. I think Dead Island is not a small game though, so I think people might. We'll see.
Take a bit of time with it. Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was pretty much our book club for this month. Our themed month going to this, I'll pass over to Keo, so he can explain his wonderful idea.
All right. So basically, what we were looking at were things based on other media. You guys talked about it a little bit last week, but I was primarily going for stuff based on books. Like I'm doing, for example, like Alice Madness Returns, the Conan stuff. But you can do stuff like Sherlock Holmes and stuff like that as well. But you guys had a bright idea to bring all the other media into it. And now Star Wars is included.
I was going comic books.
Yeah. So you can actually do any form of media based game. So that includes like the Avatar games, the Star Wars, I guess the other stuff I was looking at was like the Turok stuff, like stuff based on comic books, like Shadow Man and stuff like that too. So there's some really, really
Batman.
good old, Batman.
The Darkness.
Yeah. So that's the theme of the month. So.
And I finished my first themed game today, actually. So
that's cheating. I finished it.
What are you
had
talking
new
about?
stuff plus.
That's why I finished it. It's done.
I was going to say, just to finish up the Feb stuff. So Feb was the racing stuff. I've seen a lot of people get a lot of multiplayer achievements, which is really good. In case we have
which is really good.
Expected closures. Just shouting out, like, Keo's been working through both versions of the crew.
Burnout Paradise.
Burnout Paradise as well. I got to go back to Burnout Paradise, to be honest.
The other crew, yeah.
I've seen, like, I've gamed with Natalator, Super Bob, Drag Frame. I've done, like, Nuts and Bolts. I've done...
Left Legacy's been helping out people as well.
Yeah, Split Second was another one.
Split Second is so rough.
Yeah, I decided to skip on that one.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
And yeah, Simone wanted to shout out because she got over 50% done in Forza Horizon 4.
Yeah, there you go.
I think it's a good result.
Yeah, good
That's
result.
good.
But yeah.
So yeah, definitely if you can partake in our in our themed events and our book club. You can find more information on the Discord. A lot of us have posted lists of like stuff we have in our backlog. So I've been kind of flicking through that, looking at like, okay, what do I want to start? I'll talk a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, and if you're doing a game, put the reason why you chose it based on the media as well.
And
so
are you consuming the original media as well?
Yeah, try and consume some of the original media, do a comparison or something. Like I have the audio books I have the collection for Conan, like the full book. I've got like, the Necronomicon in there as well. I could probably, do some H.P. Lovecraft's based stuff or whatever, So
does Conan have an Arnold Schwarzenegger filter?
Yeah, no, but if you play the PC version, you can have it. Yeah, you can have a dick as long as you like. So,
well, it's the important thing.
As long as Keo likes, not as long as anyone else likes.
Like, that's the main thing.
Brad, you got any book games that you're going to be doing this month?
Well, I've already done Man-Eater and Bloodstain, so.
But
my times.
No, book games though. Games based on books.
Any media games
based on books. I probably got something I could do, but
The Witcher.
I mean, Bolt Gun might be.
Yeah,
Warhammer's a book.
Warhammer's a bit.
Warhammer has been is an edge case of which we have allowed because there's so many fucking Warhammer games.
Actually, they only just recently finished up a storyline for Warhammer's books called The Horus Heresy.
I mean, that's a classic.
Like 30 volumes in it.
I'm going to make a joke that's going to piss everyone off, and I'm just like, well, we should do that in the Toys Month.
Yes, actually, I kind of agree. I do kind of agree, yes. So we'll all go back and play Warhammer and Skylanders.
This whole discussion has managed to get Bulbasaur trying to think of every edge case possible.
Every edge case possible. And I said, no, the Monopoly and Catan games do not fucking count, all right?
Yeah. We might do a board game month. I think there's enough of them to
There are fucking heaps of them, yeah.
Man, I love Catan. As soon as that game came out, I was just like, yep, all over it. And the other one was Zombies today. People talking about Zombies. I think Zombies might be a good one for upcoming because there are a lot of Zombies games out there.
Yeah.
Dark Souls is a board game now, so there you go.
Well, yes.
Well, we're just going to do games that have dated into board games. Be playing my Frostpunk, be doing my Stardew Valley.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and so make sure you go and post your list on there and we can all critique it and tell you how wrong you are.
The idea was, it's originating from that media, so it's not something that games has turned into. So
should you just put your foot down and said no books?
Books only.
Well, I mean, this all happened around me. I've been not here for like 2 weeks, and then they had a podcast without me last week, and this is what happened. So,
hey, look, I just read what's on the card here. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, get in there, post your lists, have a chat about them. If you want to do some co-op stuff, or there is any kind of boosting we want to do for those games, we'll get some groups together. I'm thinking about starting. There's one that's on Game Pass, SD Gundam. I'm thinking about starting. I think has co-op, so I might see if we can get some people together for that. I'm not really sure. I know nothing about it.
Isn't that closing at some point soon?
I think at some stage, but I don't think any of the achievements are affected. So there might be a different Gundam. I know there's another one they are closing. Let's get into what we've been playing. Brad, I mean, you're our guest. Is there anything in particular you want to shout out or you've been playing recently?
I've been playing, since the beta started, I've been playing Final Fantasy 14. Keo advised me how much money that costs to play when you pay for it. So we'll see how long that lasts.
Look, there are certain things that I have neglected to tell people.
Yeah, I can tell. I've fallen for this thing before. I'm waiting.
He said it's like either $20 a month or like $100 every 6 months.
Yeah, so they do it all in euros, and it's like 65 euros for like
180
days or something. Well, it's just the region. Our region, it gets put into euros because there's no Australian currency on their ticket system or whatever. So
also the yen is in the fucking toilet.
And
so
the Vermintide. I've been trying to get these guys to get their crap together with that.
Yep.
But Cameron decided to
so tell us a little bit more about Vermintide. I want to hear a little bit about this.
Well, the way you play Vermintide is You walk through for 5 or 6 minutes and yell out to Cameron to either catch up or stop running so far ahead.
Oh, you
sure
mean with the
weren't playing
torch in the
Remnant? That sounds really
darkness?
familiar, actually. Sorry, was it Remnant or Gotham Knights? Or I feel like I'm hearing.
Pick a game, man.
Okay, all right.
Gotham Knights was OP. That was fine.
Yeah.
I could handle it.
So
Sorry,
on Monday.
I want to make a quick point.
You go.
How many times did you have to revive me in Gotham Knights?
A couple, like once or twice, the entire game.
Thank you.
We
How many times did I have to revive you?
You never got to revive me. I always died before you got to me.
No.
Because you were always too far away.
Yeah,
You revived me like once.
That is partly true.
You think if he could get that far away in that amount of time, he'd be able to get that
You would
back
think,
in
right?
that
You
far
would
amount
think.
of time.
Yeah. But anyway, yes, we were talking to Brad.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much how you play Vermintide. Let's see, what else have we done? I've been going with Balatro since that came out.
I've been hearing really good things about that.
Very, very good. The design is insanely good.
There was an article that I read yesterday that it's not based on poker. It's based on...
Well, it's based on the rules of poker.
Yeah, I mean, it is based on poker, but there was another
Are
game
we talking 5-cast stud or are we talking Texas Hold'em?
Hold'em.
Hold'em, right.
I'm trying to find that article because I compared it to another
you
idea.
break out from the poker fold like really quickly.
Right.
I mean, everything's based on hands in poker, so you know, royal flush to high card, but all of the what are the words? The variations of all the pickups that you can get, essentially, they just change it heaps.
Is it Xbox and PC?
Probably.
I think it's all.
Oh, it's been on PC for ages. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So they originally run a demo back in June of last year, and then they've just like put it on the Steam store, taken it off, just to like fine tweak it. And then last month it was influencer marketing in January, Steam Next Fest at the start of this month. Start of last month. Now that we're in Feb, and then just went gangbusters at launch.
Yeah, and then I'm still doing a little bit of Monster Hunter World, but that's starting to annoy the shit out of me. So I'll probably take a break on that for another 4 months and then go back to it. What else will I play?
I just want to go back to Balatro for a second.
Oh, yeah.
He based it on Luck Be a Landlord.
So
he
I know
saw
that
the
game.
trailer, for that, and then just
That's a
started
sort of
building
slot machine sort of game, yeah.
it. Like rent simulator kind of one.
Okay.
What else? Yeah. Monster Hunter World, I'm sort of slipping on because it's starting to get annoying. That's just a big grind. Let's see. What else was there? I had it, and then Cameron interrupted me, so now I forgot.
Sorry.
I'll just mute.
And I was another one I was looking at. Actually, I was going to ask you if you tried it yet. The Tactics Persona game. Have you tried that yet, Matt?
Oh yeah, I haven't earned an achievement in it yet, so I'm still like super early. But I've done like the first maybe 5 or 6 missions.
Yeah, how you like it?
I like it for the most part, but I've been.
I hear it's pretty basic with like the mechanics, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm still early, but I was like, okay, kind of getting it, but it wasn't grabbing me quite yet. But I've got like it's on my PC, so it's like when I don't have access to my Xbox, I usually play it a little bit. But that's been taken up with Persona 3. But I think I will get back to Tactics now. Now that I have a bit more time potentially. But yeah, I like it. I like the kind of art style and kind of what they've done with the kind of little chibi stuff. But it kind of remains to be seen because I think there's quite a few levels in it, and you have to do like a new game plus and all that kind of thing. So.
Then what else? I've actually been playing PUBG again for a little bit every now and then. I just through every couple of nights. It's still got a lot of bots in it, but there's enough people that play it where, like, by the time you get through 80% of the field, it's mostly people, and that's when it starts getting a bit trickier and tough. It looks a lot better. It runs a lot smoother. Stuff still looks like Play-Doh when you're too far away, but that's part of the charm, I think.
Yeah, right.
And then I haven't played it yet, but I have been looking at getting back to Sea of Thieves soon, just because I've been getting the itch to play it.
Yeah, I'm interested to check out the now that they've got the individual servers where you can kind of pop in and just like.
Oh, I don't want to
get
play
in
that.
there and
It limits you on a lot of achievements.
I never really got to play it, so it's just like going in, having a look, just explore the world, just kind of get the lay of the land. really. So, because I only ever played by myself, and when I did that, you just get trashed. So,
Yeah,
PvP or nothing. That the game dies if they. I think them making
I think so.
solo
Yeah.
servers was the biggest mistake. They should never have bowed down to the.
Has it really
blind
had an
people.
impact? Do you think?
Well, I haven't played it since, but I imagine it would because the whole issue is if everyone that doesn't want PvP is playing in friendly servers, whatever you want to call them,
Yeah.
then all the PvP people that enjoy it, they're just killing each other.
They're just sweaties.
There's no loot.
Mm.
The whole point of it is to take the loot, and if everyone that's fighting each other has no loot, then it defeats the whole point.
It does open up to different audiences that have like kids and stuff that you just want to go in there and work with your family and all that kind of.
Pirates are always
shit,
family, so
Yeah, but it's also fun to destroy kids every now and then.
I did it at
But
Gamescom with Overwatch. Great times.
So mean. Anything else, Brad?
That's it, I think.
It's a good list. You've been playing some good stuff.
Yeah.
Cameron, I want to hear about the Darkness because I know you've been playing that.
All right. So I will admit I haven't got that far into it yet. I'm only. How far in can I go with spoilers? I know it's a 2006 game, but I don't know how much of the audience is.
Have you been to Hell yet?
Yes. Oh well, World War One. Yes.
Yes, World War One, Hell, whatever they call it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's.
So that's where I'm up to at the moment. I'm doing the 27 letter collectibles.
Yeah, got it.
There's no real good video guide or anything to.
Yeah, it was a bit of a weird era where there's just kind of people made that shit by pointing their stuff at pointing
like it was
cameras
like
at TVs.
360p kind of
Yeah.
It's very you gotta really try and figure out where you are. The game is clearly old, but the atmosphere of this game is just amazing. Like you start off with a 8-minute like cutscene chase kind of moment, which the only gripe I have with the game is you have to kill the Irish construction workers at the start, which is really fucking hard.
I struggled so much with that achievement when I first played the game as a kid that I nearly didn't play the game. I was like, I just couldn't figure. And then when I did the German version, I think I did the Japanese version. I think it was. I managed to get it first try, and I was like, okay, finally, my years. I was like, it only took 15 years, but I can do it. I still remember it.
So I tried it like 2 or 3 times, and then I went, all right, I'm just gonna get every single achievement in the game, and I'm gonna go back to this because it's gonna dampen my experience if I don't do it. The one thing I want to mention the game. The voice acting I think is pretty good for this game, especially considering the time. The atmosphere of the darkness, like how the voice actor just leans into the voice of the darkness is great. The story is great.
Is that Mike Patton doing the voice?
Mike Patton, yep.
Mike Patton's great. Like
What else has he done?
He's done a lot of stuff. He was like pretty prolific, but also like real creep. Like he was really great at being a creepy dude. I
think that was back in the time where if it was either Troy Baker, Nolan North, or Patton.
Yeah, in a lot of ways.
You guys. Or Liam O'Brien. He popped in every now and then.
Yeah, Liam O'Brien. Yeah, I love Liam O'Brien. He's great.
Same. Big fan.
Because I was like, I recognized the name. I was just like, what has this person done?
He was in a lot of the stuff around that 360 era. So like he was in Left 4 Dead. He does like voices of creatures a lot of the time. Okay. So like snarls and like that kind of stuff.
He's like
Left 4 Dead,
Andy Serkis.
Yeah, that's a great, very much so.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like this one in Portal. He was the angry sphere that just starts screaming and growling at you when you pick him up.
Apparently, he was also in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge.
That doesn't surprise me. Yeah, I can see that.
But okay, so this game just like oozes that dark kind of like atmosphere to it. It's very enjoyable. It's very gruesome. Like it's that kind of PS2 feeling video game where you can just go up and kill things and
rip their fucking heart out and eat it and gain abilities from it.
So there's a few comments I want to make with it. The first one is, I really feel for the Left Darkness never getting to eat a heart.
Yep.
It's something that I noticed, and I'm just like, poor guy just misses that every time.
Because it's the same animation.
Yeah, the right guy's just got to always get the heart. I love the fact that Jackie does like when you're going through a cutscene, Jackie just sitting at the camera, talking his monologue, telling his story. And I guess spoilers, you get to a part where he dies. Like he's essentially rejects the darkness after something horrific happens to him, which I would say would probably be, like, I don't enjoy BioShock, but I know Would You Kindly is up there in terms of the
this is from
twists.
that era and like has a very similar sort of style, like a very grimy, interesting style of like when Starbreeze and Irrational and like, you know, when those kinds of games were being made in that early 360 era where everything was very dark and grimy and kind of perfect in that way.
I would say like the what's the end of beginning? Probably like the first third of the game, like that just impacts like just straight off in the game, like about an hour and a half in, is just so riveting that you just want you like to play more. The only the only gripe I really have is the letter collectibles and just the game. Like the game's graphics are of the time, but I think everything's pretty much fine.
The gunplay is a little old.
It's a bit iffy.
Was the darkness where you can essentially watch an entire movie on the TV?
You can watch it To Kill a Mockingbird. Yeah,
that's it. Kill a Mockingbird. That's it.
If you believe in a thing called love, that is.
yeah, true.
And then you get the romantic achievement when Jenny like turns over to you and kisses you. Yeah. The only gripe that I have so far is the quest. The quests for the game are a bit iffy. There's one like picking up 4 coins off the train tracks, and there's another for finding a necklace. And then I did that for like half an hour last night. It just kept on like just very missing. Like there's just a few miscellaneous achievements that are a bit rough around the edges. But man, this fucking story is great.
Yeah. It's way better than the comics.
Yeah. Like they just took the source material of the comics and went well with it. I played The Darkness 2 before. I know how it ends, and I really
wish they'd made a third one.
Yeah.
That's
the only gripe I have with the series, but I might, after I finish this game, go straight to 2 and get that finished up.
Yeah, you've been playing. What have you been playing?
All right, so I'll quickly go through a couple of the ones I've been playing. So still on the crew. So there's a few problems with that at the moment, like the 360 version, for example. They had a server maintenance about a week and a half ago, and when they took the Xbox One version down, they left I believe the API of the 360 version kind of, it's gone apparently. Like nobody can, like, it's, the game works on the 360. The PvP works, the map works, the leaderboards don't work. The only way to access the story is online. So that's one of the things that are down. So the skills are down and the story's down. So if you start playing the game, you can't get the first mission's offline, but as soon as you go to an actual mission on the map, you can't do anything about it. So you can't level up to level 10, which is the place to unlock PvP to do everything else, and to actually like get a crew. Like after like the first couple of levels of leveling up, you can't get to the point where you can make a crew or anything. So that the 360 version is essentially dead because you can't do any of the PvP or anything like that. I had, of the 5 areas of the map, only 1 area left for skills to get gold in. And I was nearly there with the platinum medals for the story. And if I'd done those 2 things, I wouldn't have to do anything else in the fully functional online part of the game. You can still do like the podium placing, all that kind of stuff if you leveled up past level 10 to do the online. It's only 4 players, not 8 players on the 360 version. So there's a few achievements where there's no daily challenges on the 360 version, like daily, weekly, monthly. But they have stuff like, they've replaced it with things like drive on the dirt for 2,000 miles and stuff like that, which adds to the 5,000 you had to do on the one. And so there's a couple of different achievements that they added instead, which I could technically still just get as it is, and I'll just end up, if it doesn't come back online, just mop up what I can and then be done with that. Nearly there with the 1 version, though. I'm kind of in the same place where I've just got to get the platinum medals and stuff.
Is the faction stuff involved in 360, or is it?
Well, it's the faction stuff is kind of different. It's not the monthly rotation. It seems it looks like it will either go up or down, or randomly reset or something like that. But one of the things is that from December there are people that it hasn't changed at all, so they're just going up and up and up in their reputation, and they've not lost that. I didn't really do a lot of the reputation stuff yet with the 360 version, just because the 1's just a pain to stick with it every day to do that. But other than that, yeah, this game is dying hard. So, and I'm on the tail end of a lot of it, but I'm not going to get a full completion out of this because my challenges don't work. So on either version, I'm just getting whatever I can.
Yeah.
So, yeah, unless I can get those challenges working, then I can actually get a completion.
I mean, Jake
the other
managed
game.
it, so fingers crossed.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. The other one of the other small games that I was playing, as you mentioned it last week, A Little to the Left, as well.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I've been I played through, I guess, the story mode, all of the puzzles once in that, not realizing that I knew that there were different solutions for multiple puzzles, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know that they were required, to get like the 100% of each area. So, and in saying that, because I didn't know that when I was doing the dailies, I didn't realize that you had to complete both types of one puzzle.
Oh, yeah,
So,
right.
He
yeah,
asked me
so-
about the dailies in a group, in a party one night. And I'm just like, yeah, you have to do like all solutions to complete the daily.
the number's not going up. I don't know why. And it's
gotta
like
get
there was half a
both
star
half of the
colored
star,
in, and
yeah,
it's just like, so I didn't realize that I had to do that. So I was about 3 or 4 days in, and then one just wasn't ticking over, and I couldn't work it out. I just thought I had to do one solution.
Mm.
So I've effectively started my 1 month rotation again, but you have to do like 50 or so or 100
You do
or something
100
anyway.
total, so you'll be
100,
fine.
yeah,
Jesus.
it'll be fine. I've got plenty of days. So
If you're anything like me, you'll get to the point of like, this is a snowflake. Fuck that. Next day.
Nah, they were fine.
Snowflakes just take too long. I like the jar ones. I like the calendar ones.
Mm-hmm.
Great game.
So I believe we've all been playing Gotham
Yes.
as well.
Yeah.
Not together. I've only just been jumping in and out doing street crimes, so I don't have much to say on it. But you guys finished it up, yeah?
Cameron, do you want to talk about the DLC? Because, I mean, we kind of...
I think we talked about the main story enough. I think to quickly summarize the main story, the side quests are the best thing.
Yeah.
This is very much a game that feels like it's... We had a team that wanted to do like an open world thing, and we had a team that just wanted to focus on very story heavy, like narrative heavy side missions. And then they mashed it together as well as the live elements, and
Kind of a mess.
Yeah. Going through the title update stuff, me and Matt were pretty smart about it. We did the first few levels of the title update 1, and that was taking a little bit of time. Then we swapped to title update 2, which we could manage. Heavily overpowered ourselves. Then went back to go and clean up number 1, and then did the end of number 2.
Yeah.
So
yes, we breezed through it for the most part.
So if you were to do it in any order, I would say do your main game first, then do your new get all your collectibles.
I would actually, what I would say is do your story playthrough and then immediately go to New Game Plus and basically just kind of.
I was going to say collectibles first.
Collectibles, I guess, doesn't really matter because you can pick them up at any time.
But just fast travel points, that kind of stuff. It's just
because they get reset. So I guess.
Yeah. So basically, as soon as you hit level 30 and you're at end game, you should move on to New Game Plus.
There are 2 enemy types that don't show up until the end of the game. In the story, so you want to there's a couple of achievements for them.
Get those.
Spoil it, but get those out of the way, and then everything else, all the other enemies show up in the DLC.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So get your new game plus, get to level 40, then start. I would say the second title update.
Yeah.
Get yourself overpowered. Do as much.
Well, actually, do the showdowns first because they give you suits that will.
Yeah. Okay. You can
because we use those suits to get through the first few DLC.
So we did showdowns, then title updates, title update 2, then title update 1 for the most part.
Yeah.
But I went back and helped Archville Shannon, one of my friends, do the showdowns, and it was like 10, 20-second fights except for Clayface, which has a whole motorbike section.
Yeah.
But it was ridiculously easy.
One of the things I noticed about the game is that in the Belfry, the character and the world plays exactly like the Avengers, like running around the
There is a
Avengers
lot of that, yeah.
stuff. And the loot crates are exactly the same. They're just these huge rectangular crates that you just walk up to and you open. It's exactly like Avengers, and like the character moves like it. Like it because obviously that's kind of like a passive kind of mode where you're not in your combat suit and doing your combo moves and stuff. So the feeling is different. So you're playing it different. So
the DLC, the title update stuff, is so Avengers adjacent, where it's like wave-based stuff, same couple of activities you just kind of do over and over again. You get a few loot crates, you upgrade some stuff, and then occasionally there's a boss fight. Like it's so, you can tell so much of what they were trying to do with the live service stuff that just didn't pan out for them.
I would say the boss fights are pretty good though.
And if that's what they used as their inspiration, well then, well,
I mean, it's still playable. So
well.
But yeah, I don't think there's much more to say about Gotham really. Like it was
really.
a fine game, and like I wouldn't do it solo for the most part. Like I think that co-op makes it a lot more enjoyable.
I definitely think it's one of those games that you have fun because it's co-op.
100%, yeah. Like I think we had a good time just like doing it nightly and just kind of just smashing through bits and pieces of it.
The story is heavily predictable.
Yeah, I literally called pretty much every story beat right before it happened. But that's because I'm insufferable. I finished up Persona 3. So last week I was kind of towards the end of December. There's kind of an ending choice at the end of December that like either has one ending, or if you choose the other ending, you kind of they give you an extra month.
The remake one?
Yes. Yeah, Reload, yeah. So I kind of talked about this last week, but like I knew all the story beats were coming. Like they haven't changed anything in that regard for the most part. They've added some new abilities, a lot of improvements to like quality of life stuff and simplification of things, which I really appreciate. And they've added some new features. They've added also a lot of extra cutscene stuff for characters that didn't have social links. So now you kind of have an excuse to like keep talking to mostly some of the male characters, who like, because again, that's.
Are most of the social links things all the same?
Identical, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
that's
so
good.
all the existing stuff is the same, which still hits really fucking hard because, I mean, this is again, I'm trying to be like careful about spoilers because I know some people this will be their first time playing through Persona 3. I played it all through last year, but also it's been released like 4 fucking times before, so. This is very much a hug your loved ones kind of game when you finish playing it, in terms of like, a lot of the stories do not have happy endings. They have realistic endings. And they're not miserable endings, but it's like, hey, this is a game about like growing up. And it's about like being in high school and trying to figure out what you're going to do with your life. And also kind of realizing that your life will one day come to an end. And like you kind of have like, there's so much about like mortality and choice. And like there's I can, playing through this mechanically, I think it's the weakest of the trilogy of 3, 4, and 5, but I think thematically I understand why it resonated so well with people that it became such a huge spin-off and kind of its own thing, its own beast from separate from Shin Megami Tensei. Yeah, I had a fantastic time playing through it again. I think that like the quality of life stuff that they've added and the edges they've rounded off and some of the additional things they've added have made it a really, really good experience. I know that people are upset that it is missing, like it doesn't have the expansion, and it doesn't have the For Answer expansion, and it doesn't have the female protagonist, which is unfortunate. Can always
add that on later on, right?
I get the feeling they might.
Yeah, that seems...
At least for the expansion stuff, if you know what happens in the expansion, like it kind of takes place in that. Again, there's spoilers, but there's kind of a time skip at the end of the game, like to the ending, that they kind of, in the same way they did with 4 and 5, where they kind of have some bits they put in. They kind of lean on it a little bit as the kind of For Answer thing and kind of give some hints as to the door. And anyway, there's a lot of stuff they could potentially do. So it wouldn't surprise me if they brought out a DLC for it. The game sold very, very well and it's doing great for Atlas, so I'm not surprised. I did really enjoy it.
They never made like a direct sequel to it.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of, it's interesting. I guess I guess we're waiting for Persona 6 now. It is still apparently going to be in the high school, but there's been a lot of leaks about it.
A remake like that is the kind of thing that they could use, like they can start tying games together, maybe even a little bit.
I mean, 3 and
There
4...
are, from what I understand, there is a couple of things that they
Yes.
bringing them all in together somehow, but I don't really know.
Yeah,
So-
because
so-
I mean,
yeah.
you go.
4 has references to 3 in it. I mean, I believe 4 has a field trip to the school
Not
in
just that,
3.
Well,
I'm pretty sure that there's
Mm.
a game in the Persona universe where they bring all of the different characters.
I
from the
was
games.
Yeah, they do,
going to bring up Persona, I think it's called O.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, I don't know what it stands for, like other or something like that, but that's the one. I think they did 2.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, Q. Persona Q.
Persona Q, yeah.
I knew it was just a letter.
non-canon, but yeah.
Yeah, it's where they did that. But then they've got the dancing games and stuff like that where they kind of tied a few things together. And
they do strikers and things like that. They've done kind of like...
That's the other thing I don't... Because I've never really followed Persona that much, just because I could never play it, so why bother? Is Persona a spin-off of Shin Megami, or is Shin Megami a spin-off of Persona?
No, so wow, like it's like 3 spin-offs deep at this point, because it was like Devil Summoner, and then Shin Megami Tensei, and then Shin Megami Tensei like Persona was the original game, and so that was kind of there. And then Persona 2 was its own thing, and then Persona 3 was its own thing, and kind of that's when it became completely separate.
And we're finally getting a Shin Megami, aren't we?
Yes, Shin Megami Tensei 5, I believe, the one that came out for Switch.
It's on
now,
Switch at least.
Yeah, it's now coming to Xbox as well, so I'm excited for that. And like the kind of thematic stuff is like the demons and personas and things that you summon are the same characters and that sort of stuff. So that's kind of the glue that ties it all together in a lot of ways.
I didn't realize too. I know Brad has been raving about Unicorn Overlord. I didn't realize that was published by Atlas as well.
Yes, yes, it is.
Developed by Vanillaware, I think they're called.
Yeah.
Which we were joking about the other day.
Yes.
Vanillaware, or as translated to English,
where's
basic
that
games.
new one?
Whatever, really?
Yeah, what? Yeah, vanilla, whatever. Yeah, tedious games.
Is Metaphor Refantasio linked to any of them, or
no? So that they're using the engine, and kind of the mechanical structure for it, but it is going to be a separate thing.
Okay.
But it's not going to be a Shin Megami Tensei thing either. It's going to be apparently its completely own thing. So it's very interesting. But that's what the Persona team is currently working on. So, but yes, there are a few kind of things that they've done now that they have. Obviously, they realize they have so many other Persona games in there. They could do little call forwards and little other bits and kind of retie some of it together. It's a very light touch. And
you were right. They do go. In 4, they do go on a field trip to the school from 3.
Yeah, you go to a lot of those locations, and because I played them in the wrong order, I was like, "Oh, I guess I'm going to see this later."
I didn't realize that the studio that's making Metaphor is also the one behind Catherine Fullbody.
Yeah, well, that's all Atlas. That's all kind of that's
That's just looking for their back catalog. I haven't really.
Their backlog, Atlas had put out some absolute fucking bangers over the years.
Yeah. Do you know where the Devil Summoner and stuff like that fit in with the Persona stuff then?
So I think because that's spin-offs of Shin Megami Tensei, so it's kind of they've kind of branched.
Separate from the
in the same way that Soul Hackers, for example, is a spin-off of Shin Megami Tensei as well.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, like Zelda has 3 timelines, and Link lives and dies in both of them, and they branch off again. So
yeah, if you want to waste a good afternoon, try and understand the timeline of the branching paths of the Shin Megami Tensei series, because there are so many games at this point.
I'm going through everything in the past that has either been like published by Atlas, whether it's developed by Studio Zero, Atlas, Vanillaware, P Studio.
Yeah, and it's very incestuous. You get all the way to like Etrian Odyssey and Odin Sphere and all that kind of stuff too.
You get back to the early 2000s, and it's like learn Winnie the Pooh the preschool, and then you've got so much.
Gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Like we talk about like port studios and stuff, right?
Yeah,
but anyway, I didn't want to spend.
It wasn't public domain back then.
True. I didn't want to talk too much about Persona 3 because I've already kind of mentioned all the stuff I liked about it. But
hello, Kitty.
My main gripe with that game is, unfortunately, structurally, there is only one dungeon. It is one big tower. They've done some really nice visual stuff with like each individual level now feels quite different. as opposed to just looking different like it currently was in the original game. But it is still over 200 floors of the dungeon. I won't say exactly how many because it's a little bit of a spoiler, but there are a lot of fucking floors to Tartarus.
Did they fix drop rates with stuff?
A little bit. Tends to be a lot better. They've also done
sometimes it took me forever to find something.
Yeah, no, they're pretty good with items now. They've added a lot of Arcana stuff as well, so they get bonuses for doing fights, and shuffle time is better. Like there's so many quality of life things. Having just played played Persona 3 Portable last year.
One of the weapons that you have to get for one of the tasks, that took me so long to find.
Also, the achievements are a lot easier in this version, so like you don't have to do every single task. You only need to do, I think, 80% of them.
I mean, all the tasks weren't really that hard anyway.
Most of them aren't that bad. You don't have to, you don't have to do the optional boss at the end of the game if you don't want to. And the majority of stuff you can get, again, you still need to max out all the social links and all your abilities and all that kind of stuff, but you also don't need to fully fill out the compendium. Like, they kind of took the Persona 3 Portable list and just kind of took the kind of 20% of the bullshit off of it. Which I really appreciate.
It wasn't really hard though; it was just busy work.
Yeah, exactly. So they're like, they cut some of that out. I mean, there's still, you still need to manage every single individual day if you want to max out everything by the end of the game. But that's Persona for you. But yes, anyway, I even got a little misty-eyed toward the end because I was like, this is seeing it in this form is really, really it's great because Persona 3 Portable was good, had a lot of good features. But again, you didn't have a lot of animation stuff. It was very visual novel-y. You're kind of missing a lot of that element. A lot of the voice acting stuff, for example, it's fantastic game. I also started a game called Return to Grace, which got added to Game Pass recently. This is a walking simulator based where it kind of reminds me a little bit of The Invincible, which I played recently, where you are on an alien planet. An asteroid, I believe, where you are an archaeologist looking for a machine god, basically. So there was a machine called Grace that basically was an AI so advanced that people started worshipping it and built a temple towards it and had a whole religious structure around it, and it basically propelled humanity into the future. And one day Grace just stopped and the world went into a technological dark age for 1,000 years. And so you basically have found Grace, where the computer is, and you're trying to reboot it and rediscovering and going on a bit of an archaeological journey up this giant spire of which it all exists in and kind of uncovering what the fuck happened. It's pretty chill for the most part. It's just there's no combat. It's a walking sim. You solve some very minor puzzles and you're just kind of exploring and going up these levels and doing some minor puzzles, a little bit of minor platforming stuff, very, very minor. And you're being talked to by the fragments of Grace's AI. So you have, there are 3 AI. You have Control, which is a crazed religious zealot who wants to restore order to the masses. You have Empathy, who is an absolute hippie and gets you to go on do some yoga. And then you have Logic, who is very unhappy about this whole situation. And so they each have their own individual personalities and you kind of mess around with them and kind of, they each have individual kind of tasks and they kind of have to, one will suggest going this way, one will suggest going this way. And you kind of have it's quite light. I'm towards the end of, I think you need to do 2 playthroughs because there's some decision stuff you make. But it's a pretty short game, maybe 2-3 hours per playthrough. So I think I'm towards the end of my first playthrough. I've just kind of been chipping away at it. It's really I'm really enjoying it.
What's the gameplay style?
It's just first person walking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just it's walking sim. Just kind of.
Right?
It reminds me a lot of What Remains of Edith Finch. Actually, it's probably a really good comparison.
Okay, cool.
Walsh has a 2-hour and 10-minute guide.
Yeah, so if you want a video guide, you'll smash through it. I've been using, there's a Steam guide that has all the achievements roughly in order to give you an idea, but also the game is quite short, and you can also copy your saves into other save slots, so you can make backups and that kind of stuff to save time. I haven't done too much of that, but there are some mutually exclusive stuff you might want to do.
You might be able to do that to make the 2 playthroughs a little bit quicker.
A little bit shorter, exactly. Yeah. So as long as you're kind of careful about it, I'm sure someone will write a walkthrough for it on TA pretty quickly though, because it's not an overly complex game.
Yeah.
Has anyone got anything else they want to talk about? Because I'm going to get into Avatar after this, and I really want to get into it.
I'll quickly smash through the two I have left.
Sure.
So I started Dead Island 2. That was before we announcing it as part of our little game. So basically I did the 5 co-op missions and the revives with friend. And I mean, the game's fine. I mean, at least just to start. I mean, I feel like you die really, really quickly. I ended up playing Bruno. Which is basically the ability is you have, I guess his LB ability is just to dodge around people, and so the aim is to get behind them, and then a back attack is essentially a critical hit. So you do like a little bit of backwards and forwards with the character. So we were kind of working a few things out, doing a few missions and stuff like that, but it really does just feel like the first game though.
Sure.
Like, yeah, so it is kind of like that clunky. I know, well, a little bit smoother, but still like clunky Dead Island feel to it. So, yeah, so
part of the fun.
Yeah, it really is like smashing bodies to bits and stuff like the gore. And
the melee was very satisfying.
Yeah, so good. So, but I'm really, really early in that, so it's barely worth mentioning as well.
Well, Matt and myself and Steve are going to be starting that soon. We need a 4th, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, sure. I mean,
is that the one that only has 3 players?
I don't know if I haven't checked.
I don't know.
I was going to say, have you checked if...
I haven't looked myself. So, I mean, the other Dead Island's 4 players, because you have to do 4 players with achievements and stuff.
I mean, don't always just assume, though.
Yeah. Anyway, even if it isn't, like, it was either going to be put aside for now or, but we're doing it as part of the month, so... I will probably play it a little bit more. So if you guys are playing in this room, then I'd happily jump in and do some.
I think we agreed to doing it on Wednesdays.
Mm-hmm.
Once you've decided on which platform you'll play Dead Island 2, you can do so with up to 2 other players for a team size of 3 people.
There you go.
Okay, right. I guess we're musketeering.
Okay. Yeah, there you go.
6 characters or slayers to choose from.
Sorry, we'll get rid of after all seasons. It's fine.
I'll just solo. It's okay. I'll be fine.
Steve will just complain about being a teacher.
Speaking of 3-player games, you can play 4 players, but did also a bit more Rainbow Six Extraction. So,
I forgot about that game.
So, I mean, this is a game that I love going back to, even though I've not played it a whole bunch. It is actually, like, when you really, really know how to play the game. And I've been playing the game with Zenimus, who was in the chat, so Zach. This guy is a master of, like, really getting the critical stuff down in this kind of game. So he's played a lot of Halo in the past. He's really, really good at the Halo stuff. He's basically mastered Rainbow Six Extraction and was just telling me all of these little things as we we're going through and doing some of it. So shout out to Zach. Anyone who hasn't really played Rainbow Six, I've mentioned it before, but basically you've got 3 areas. You clear one area, there's a random objective but you get 3 random objectives and then you start in one area. You can either choose to do the objective or not to do the objective. You can just clear out what you can and then move on to the next area if you really wanted to. But ultimately, if you clear all 3 sections, 15 minutes at a time or less if you've got modifiers on, and then you get the maximum points to rank up your characters. But the problem is you have to rank up every single character and unlock abilities and get to the end game tier to unlock end game exclusive content, which is kind of annoying. But the good thing about that is if you have somebody like Zach who was at the end of all of that, can actually at your low level drag you in and you can just farm XP.
You get a nice carry.
Whatever you want. So yeah, so not so nice carry for him if we're all dying all over the place because he got low characters and he's higher characters. So he's maxed out nearly everything.
Babysitting.
Yeah, exactly. Just babysitting for now. So, but yeah, no, it was really, really good to do that. But if you're interested in the game and you like extraction shooters and stuff like that, it's at least worth looking at because this game really needed a little bit more love than it got, including from Ubisoft because the game's a little bit broken.
Right.
You can load up the game, or at least on a Series X console, press the Y button to open the team menu to invite somebody, and the game just shuts down.
Maybe it just knows that person doesn't have any friends.
Yeah, like, nah. No.
Yeah, it's like, no, fuck it. You don't
They're
have any friends.
They're extracting you from the game. It's a mess.
Why are you even pressing the button? Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah,
so,
it's just
yeah.
meta joke.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, we got this kid. Yeah, but that's about it. That's everything actually I've been doing.
The old when people had Connect and someone go Xbox turn off.
Yes.
Classic.
Yes. Yeah.
Alt F4, best combo.
So Avatar, huh?
Yeah, so I've basically finished up my my Ubisoft Plus adventure with
Monopoly?
Avatar.
No more Monopoly?
I mean, I just did like Rabbids today, and I'll probably do Monopoly or whatever. But like, I don't, you know, those aren't worth talking about in terms of like games. I actually was excited.
Whoa, Rabbids is.
Look, I'm just playing those because they're there. Like, if they weren't included in the service, I wouldn't have bothered. So yeah, this is the end of my Ubisoft Plus experiment. So I did The Crew 2, I did The Crew Motorfest, I did Assassin's Creed Mirage, I did Prince of Persia, and now Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora.
Is that the new
Price for
one,
like-
the Lost Crown or whatever it's called?
Sorry, what?
Is that the new Prince of Persia?
Yes, the new one, The Lost Crown. Yes,
I've heard that's really good.
it is good. Yeah, so I actually like overall, I've enjoyed all of these games quite a bit actually, which I was not. I knew I was going to enjoy Prince of Persia, but The Crew Motorfest especially was really good. Crew 2 was.
Yeah, I actually did hear that was really good.
Yeah, I was really surprised.
Especially the price point.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, $25 for a month for 5 games is pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
And so I left Avatar for last because I was the least sure about it. But I'm glad that I played it. So this game has a lot of Far Cry DNA in it. It is a large open world game where you explore, you go to outposts, you find things, you hunt creatures, get upgrades, craft upgrades, that kind of stuff. Sort of what you'd expect from that. The interesting part, and the story is okay. I think it's passable. I think it's relatively predictable. There isn't really too much to it, but it doesn't overstay its welcome for the most part. And it has some good set pieces. The villains are kind of, I mean, in the same way that the villains in Avatar are fucking one note as fuck. At least that's consistent with the movies. I think that there's so much I like about this game, and then Ubisoft just made it a little bit worse, unfortunately. It's like it went from being like an 8 to being like a 7. So there's a lot of verticality in this game. Okay, let me start with set pieces. So there are 3 main environments in this game, and unlike your regular Far Cry stuff, you can't just go anywhere. You have to progress through the story to unlock these places, which I think was the right move. So the first area is very much your standard Avatar forest, a lot of greenery, a lot of like branches and vines and kind of glowing bioluminescence and all that sort of stuff. The beautiful stuff that you see in those movies. And I was like, okay, cool. I guess this is just kind of the game. And then once you hit a certain part of the story, you go to basically the idea is that you are trying to unite these clans together. You're part of a forgotten clan called the Seratu, who basically they've all died out and you're the last of your kind. But their clan were diplomats. And the whole thing is that like the RDA have come back. They're ruining Pandora. You need to unite the clans to basically push them off the planet again. Standard Avatar stuff. The second area you go to, the first people are weavers, and they use like silk moths. And so that's kind of their whole thing, is that like there's a lot of like weaving and like they have like a tree that they all live in. And then the second area is, I went to it and I was like, oh, cool. You go through like a little path and you get an Ikran, which is the flying things that they ride. Again, it's on the front cover, so you kind of expect it. You get an Ikran relatively early on, and the game just kind of opens up. It's just like, yeah, just you can explore this entire third of the map and just fly wherever you want. There are a lot of bases and all that kind of stuff, and they have kind of level requirements. So like you'll know you'll get your ass handed to you if you go to one of the outposts and just kind of get wrecked by, you know, guys in mechs. But the second area is all plains. Like it reminds me of, you know, when you go to like the calm lands in Final Fantasy 13 or something along those lines, where it's like it's all just like grasslands and hills and rocks and all that kind of stuff and spires. And I was like, wow, like they just like, I was not expecting this in an Avatar kind of game. Like this is not the kind of thing, when you think about Avatar, you think of like, you know, floating rocks and trees and all that kind of stuff. So I was really impressed. I was like, oh, okay, this is actually like kind of a different take. And so you can see from a lot further, and it's like the hunting is different because you're like on a savanna kind of thing.
So what movie is that meant to represent?
Well, exactly. Like, I'm not sure. Like,
Because I'm
one.
wondering if this is actually like a like a
I know what you mean.
a tie-in, like potentially,
like a tie
yeah.
for like
Yeah.
future.
Yeah,
Potentially,
it's
yeah.
all canon. So
Didn't he
Yeah.
want to make like 7 movies?
He is making 7 movies.
Yeah.
And so the third area is, and unfortunately, like, the third area is just like, oh, it's like Misty Pines. And I was like, okay, that's a lot less impressive. And it's a smaller area and it's quite confined and it's kind of like not great. Like, it's okay. It just feels like I'm in Washington State, you know, where I'm like, okay, well, there are like a lot of the same trees around the place, but like it doesn't, and it's very misty, and like the clan that lives there are like, you know, like hidden like ninja dudes or whatever, like the kind of thing. And the clan in the plains are nomads, and they wander around these giant Zekru creatures. It's and like I really enjoyed playing through the story and just kind of like experiencing this and going to these new places and meeting these characters. And you know, the characters aren't like super well developed, but there's kind of some interesting conflict and stuff. And like you kind of have to help them with their problems so they can help you, and you have to convince them that the RDA are a thing. And you do, like, you know, there's the whole tension between like the Na'vi and the humans who are working in the resistance. And it's like, okay, well, these are humans who cause these problems. Why should we trust them? Relatively standard stuff. Playing the game is really nice though. You quite like you move quite quickly. You can jump quite high. You have like a charge jump. Like you basically hold it down. You just like leap because, you know, Na'vi are very tall, very lithe. There's a lot of sliding, and like the verticality and the movement and the free running is actually really, really nice, especially in the forest environments where you have a lot of like, you know, jumping on ledges and like climbing things and like walking around stuff. But the game never lets you forget that you are up against like a technologically advanced society who have fucking machine guns and shit, and you mostly have bows and arrows. It does give you some variety. So you have like a short bow, which does like you have 3 shots that you can fire off really quickly, and it does damage at close range. And you actually get an ability that does more damage when you're moving while using it, as opposed to like you have a heavy bow, which is more like a sniper rifle. You have like a spear throw, which works like a really strong like projectile, like single projectile. It's sort of like a rocket launcher kind of equivalent. And so there's a decent amount of variety in the weapons and a little bit in the enemies. You kind of the enemy variety is kind of where it starts falling down, where it's like, okay, well, you have dudes who are walking around, and then you have dudes who are mechs, and some of them have grenade launchers, and some of them have flamethrowers, and some of them have just machine guns. And you fight the same kind of guys over and over again.
Is it the same in like old Ubisoft games where you can just stealth everything anyway?
Yeah, so that's kind of the thing. So there's an even bigger emphasis on stealth in this game because you are so much weaker in terms of like, you know, in Far Cry, it's like, oh, I'll stealth for a bit, but if I get seen, I'll just shoot them in the fucking head, whatever. This is like, these are big mechs that you're going to get messed up with for the most part. Once you get to like the higher levels, you can start like, I was doing the cleanup of these outposts, and this is kind of the Ubisoft thing where it's like, there are like 100 of them, maybe not 100, but there's like 50 of them.
Yeah.
And like, there's probably like 30 too many in terms of like, you have like little ones, and each individual one has like different. It's kind of interesting because they're all like, okay, this is how they're fucking up the environment with this thing. It's like, this is like their fracking thing. This is the tunnel boring thing. And the idea is, instead of going in like Far Cry and killing all the enemies, and you're like, hey, you cleared the outpost, it's actually sneak in and disable or sabotage various parts of the facility. So you kind of get this interesting idea of, you have a little hacking gun that the Resistance have put together for you. And you can go in there and it's like, okay, well, you need to disable like the water supply for this and the power supply for this, and then blow this thing up. But of course, once you start blowing things up, everyone's going to know that there's something going on. So what you can do instead is hack the things, and it takes a bit longer and it's a bit fiddlier, but you can hack each individual thing and store them and then set them all off at once. So you kind of have this choice of like, okay, well, am I going to go guns blazing completely? Am I going to go semi-stealth? Or am I going to go completely stealth? My main issue, though, is that the stealth is a little bit too unforgiving. The enemies can see you quite quickly, and it's the classic thing of like, you kill one enemy and you shoot one bow and you hit one enemy and suddenly everyone knows you're there. And it's like, Far Cry is maybe a little bit too far on the other end where it's too easy. This is probably a bit too punishing.
Yeah, 2 guys are having a conversation and the guy just drops his like,
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, okay, maybe he should be alerted. But if I kill both of them, not everyone else in this area should know that there's something happened. So it's maybe a little bit rough in that area. And like, the only reason I kind of know that is because I've had to do so many of these outposts. and that's kind of my two biggest problems with the game is that there is too much Ubisofting. Like it is not as bad as like a Assassin's Creed Odyssey or Valhalla, where you're talking hundreds of hours. But this game still took me 47 hours to complete, and I was pushing pretty quickly to get through it. The estimates are 60 to 80, and it really could have been a really tight 20 to 30 hour game and just been fantastic. Because by the time I got to,
just couldn't help themselves.
Exactly, that's unfortunate.
I didn't see the problem with Ubisoft doing like 20 to 30 hours and then having like two, not title updates, DLCs, like 5 to 10 hours content.
Like Mirage, I think kind of got it right. Where like there is still a lot of like you need to go to the collectibles and all that kind of stuff, but there's so many.
Back to like if you were to compare it to Assassin's Creed Unity and
Unity or probably maybe two or Brotherhood maybe are probably the closest. But like I enjoyed playing the game. Like the actual playing of the game is quite good. My two main problems are that there's just kind of they have too many collectibles and too much shit. So like the world is too big. It doesn't need to be that big. So you get like there's audio logs. So there's audio logs, there's text logs, there's puppets to find, there's flutes, there's plants that give you skill points, plants that increase your maximum health. I'm missing kites, and I think I might be missing one in there as well, and like all the outposts as well. So like, there's so much to do in this world. Oh, and there's like the little bug chasing thing you have to do as well. And like, most of them are like, hey, there's 10 of them in the world, and it's not that bad. But the outpost, there's like 50 of them, and it's unfortunately, like, I did a lot of that like while playing through the game, because also like there's leveling, so you want to be like on par with the level of the mission. So I wanted to make sure I wasn't outpaced. So I was doing a lot of the side stuff on my way to other missions and kind of branching out, but not like clearing out an area. By the time I was done with the game, I was probably 60% of the game done. And I was kind of like, okay, I'm kind of good. Like I got up to 75%, and I'm like, okay, I'm super good now.
Okay. The question that I have would be, seeing as it was Ubisoft Massive, and they've done the Division, they're doing the Star Wars game.
Yeah.
Do you see any of the DNA from the Division or what they've done kind of in here?
Maybe a little bit, like on the gear scoring kind of stuff, maybe in a weird way.
Yeah, okay. That's what I was thinking it might have ended up being. Because like the Division 2 had the raids, and they had things in the raids that you had to do that were just overly complicated, just getting X amount of people to work together to do it. And if you had one person drop and they were or if one person that was incompetent, basically, it would be a problem. It just seems like some of that skill tooling and stuff like that, clearing like outposts where they're
like this very much isn't a live service game, which surprised me. Like it doesn't have a lot of those hooks in it, but it is very much an Ubisoft game. And so like there are 3 like major outposts that you need to take out, and like 2 of them are story related, and one of them is like a very high level kind of one big side quest. And like that stuff is really cool because it's all like well developed. It's not super repetitive. It's quite difficult, but there's just too much shit. And that complaint also is related to the other complaint that I have in this game, is that there are also too many systems in this game.
Yeah, which is the problem that Division had.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of that's where this happens. So if you want to get like, okay, so you don't, there is no XP in this game. You don't level normally. Everything is based on a gear score, based on your level. So you have head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Like you've got you've got helmet, you've got gloves, you've got chest piece, and you've got a leg armor. And then you also have your sort of 6 weapons that you kind of upgrade. And then each of those have modifiers, a modifier you can put on for each of them. So you're constantly collecting shit. And you can collect it and find it. And there's also like alternate ammos for all kinds of stuff. And they also have like skill bonuses of like some of them do more damage to like weak spots, or some of them do more damage to the RDA, some of them do more damage to wildlife. So you kind of balance that. They all have stats, but you can also craft and build your own stuff. But in order to do that, you need to basically go out into Pandora and find the crafting materials. And it's not like Far Cry where it's like, hey, collect like 10 of this boar. It's like, no, find like one of this thing, but when you kill it, you need to make sure you hit it in a specific spot. It's Red Dead Redemption 2. It's like you need to get like perfect skins, right? It has so much of that DNA in it of like you have to there's just too much of it. And I kind of get what they're going for because it's like there isn't like you don't go to a store for the most part. Like there's no like buying stuff. But as you do quests, you get clan favor and you can redeem that for some like materials or an upgrade or something along those lines.
Yeah.
And so it's like you're constantly building your gear score, but the game would have been a lot better if it just had leveling, to be honest. Like if they'd just gone the Far Cry route and just gotten experience points, because you also, like while you're also crafting stuff, you also are finding food and you also have cooking. So you have like recipes to make food and you also have an energy bar that you can fill up. And the energy bar, if it basically converts to regenerating health. So if you have energy and you're out of combat, you'll regenerate health. If you don't have energy, you won't. And so you're constantly looking for food. And like I'm saying, it's not hard to find this stuff because it's fucking everywhere. There's so many plants and like the bestiary and like fauna stuff and like all of that stuff. You're like scanning things and like putting it in your little hunter's guide. There's so much stuff to find. And it's like, you could just, it's just, I understand what they were going for, right? Because they're like, well, you know, you're a hunter. You don't go and buy things. So you should make the things that you get. But also you should do side quests to get the things to make it. But also you should be cooking stuff to get bonuses. But also you should be hunting down all these collectibles. But you should also be doing the story. But also doing all these side quests. But also doing contributions where individual little camps that you find have, hey, I want this thing. Find the thing for me in the world. And so like that was the last thing I did in the game where I had to find like 50 fucking things. And it's like, hey, but also they need to be of a level of... The other problem is each of the materials has a quality level to it from like fine to superior to exquisite.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, I found the thing, but it was not the right level of quality, so it's useless.
Yeah. I reckon you bookmark a lot of that stuff and you'll find exactly the same stuff in Star Wars as Outcasts when it comes out. Outlaw.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, except it'll, instead of crafting and finding stuff and hunting, it'll be stealing stuff.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit concerned. Like I said, like I've been talking about this for a while, and I'll wrap it up here. But I did enjoy a lot of this game. Like I enjoyed playing this game quite a bit. But there is literally a percentage meter of how polluted Pandora is, and you need to get it from 0 to 100. Like it is a progress bar, and I was kind of done with this game 60% of the way through that bar.
The question I have is, what's the best way to ask this? Is this purely like a Pandora as in like the world kind of thing? Like this is a original story set in Pandora because you just want to experience the environment.
Basically, yeah, like it's the Western Front, basically, or the Western frontier of Pandora, basically. So the whole thing is that look, there are some minor tie-ins with the rest of it. Like they name drop a couple of people from the RDA and stuff, but it is very much like its own very like story, but it is canon apparently.
So fun fact, you know Viva La Dirt League?
Yes.
Yeah.
Rowan was in the first Avatar movie.
Oh, really? Huh.
Yeah. He's one of the unnamed mercenaries in the camp kind of scene.
Yeah.
He's got like 2 parts in the movies. Yeah, it's like, all right. They were talking about on their podcast him being a famous actor and then slinging back to that.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that doesn't turn up in the game.
I don't think so.
Okay.
But yeah, so like I enjoyed it, and I think that like if I wasn't like time crunched and I kind of was maybe spaced it out a little bit more and kind of come back to it every now and then, I'd probably have a slightly better time with it. But I still think those issues with the way that it's the number of systems and the way they kind of overwhelm you a little bit. It's just like I feel like they could have shrunk the game and simplified it just a little bit. Like if they just cut 20% out of it, I think it would have been a much tighter experience.
It sucks because I love like Far Cry 3 and 4, but like Far Cry 5 and 6. Like 6 is just massive. It's too much.
Yeah.
I was hoping this would be like a Far Cry 3 kind of situation.
It reminds me a lot of Far Cry 3 when I was first playing it. I was like, because you're doing a lot of climbing and a lot of like, you get to an area and it's like, hey, you remember those like radio towers that you would do? And it was like a little mini puzzle because it would be like, okay, how do I get to the top? Or it's like, hey, I'm in a cave.
Where was the yellow paint?
Yeah, exactly. So they don't have that's the thing. It's nice. They don't.
Ubisoft doesn't have yellow paint, Far Cry. They just have
this kind of almost goes in the other direction where it's like the quests will give you a description of where to find something and you got to figure it out for the most part. You can turn on like a guided mode to make it a little bit easier, but this game is kind of, yeah, like it's quite an experience. And I think for the most part, it's really interesting, and I'm glad that it got made. And it's way better than I thought it was going to be, but it's just not quite there,
It could have been better.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
It
I
could have,
remember the first Avatar game that came out all the way back when the first
on the 360.
That
The
actually
movie
wasn't too bad either.
It was a fun enough game.
I was thinking of finishing that this month as the movie tie-in game.
Yeah,
I did all the multiplayer because that's what I do. I do all the multiplayer and then just leave the game for the
Smart
years.
because it's gone now. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that game was all right actually. Anyway, I've been talking about it for too long, but I would say, like, I don't know if it's worth getting Ubisoft Plus for, but if you're looking to, if you've got Ubisoft Plus and you want to go through a few games, I would say put Avatar on the list. I'd be curious to hear. It also does have co-op, but I think there's some weird stuff around the achievements. So, get someone who doesn't care about that to help you out with it.
Well, like host-only sort of deals.
I think so. I don't know. I didn't explore it too much because I was in a rush, and I don't know anyone else who's played it. But yeah, let's move on quickly. I will just quickly go on to the leaderboards. So in third place, we have our Ozbuff Fanatic with 14,086. We have Martel with 15,068. And we have MC Pandas Gamers with 34,595. Jesus Christ, guys. You need to calm down. Do you want to go through completions?
Yeah. I will. So we've got Cavaliers 07 with Borderlands 3. We've got Just Jake with his Metroid Zero Mission Retroarch completion. Rapture did Madden NFL 22. Shadow Slide did Real Steel. Bulbasaur did Cluster Truck at Donut County. Lord Mud Outer Worlds ×2. So both versions. Like
he did two
PC and
what is
the Space's Choice version. He did like this gen and last gen's version. Yeah,
not the PC version.
So you got one more. He's going to do.
Yeah, you've got one more to do there, buddy. So get on that. Seafood Sticks did Elder Scrolls Online, which is insane. It was like 6,500 and something hours. Yeah. I think the Xbox was just on the whole time looking for a month where he can get that first multiplayer achievement. Yeah. Baron von Neumann did Baldur's Gate 3, which is another huge one. Soul Hackers 2 and Yakuza 4. So they're all big games.
Yeah, big games
as well. Dragframe did NFS Rivals ×2, so that's the stack as well. 360. There you go. Shadows all over it. Anubis did Palworld. Shadow Sly, Castle Crashes Remastered. So that must have been a little bit later in the month. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And Vex 173 did We Happy Few and Astroneer. So
one of our new community members.
Yeah. It's very good. Yeah, it's good to see a few new people in there. So
yeah, it's great. I started We Happy Few, and I finished the first act, and kind of I need to go back.
The DLC is a lot better than the.
So I've heard, yeah. All right, well, we've got the word challenge, which I've brought back. Everyone's favorite competition, I guess. I don't know. People, I don't know. People have weird feelings about it, but
only when the witness is involved.
Yes, it's not the witness, but I've come up with a new game. And I'm going to warn you right now, this is going to be a hard one. But I'm going to make the clues a lot easier to help rule it down. So hopefully it evens out. Be very curious to see what kind of guesses we get. If you don't know what the word challenge is, basically I pick a game usually each month, and I put a GIF on our bot. And if you guess the name of the game, the GIF pops up or an image pops up and you win a prize, usually like $20. And each week I give away a clue ranging from not very helpful to basically giving you the answer. So we're starting a new one with it being March 1st. So this game has a cancelled sequel. So it had a sequel was in development that was cancelled.
Could be anything.
Could be anything. But I'm not saying, but the key thing there is that it didn't just have didn't tease a sequel. It didn't it wasn't like, oh, it should have a sequel. Like this game was going to have a sequel and just did not happen.
Is it one of the unannounced sequels where they don't tell us that they were actually making a sequel?
It's my insider knowledge. That's how I'm doing this. So you got to
make it extra hard.
Yeah.
I mean, what do we count Beyond Good and Evil 2 as?
That's probably
Purgatory.
Cancelled. Yeah, exactly right. But yeah, so good luck to everyone. We'll have a new clue next week, but I'll be very curious to see. I jump on our Discord to get into the word challenge and start guessing.
Enslaved.
Yeah, Enslaved is a good guess. I love Enslaved. It's a great game. It's weird playing Rabbids and the Rabbids party game and it all being based on Odyssey to the West. It's very strange. All right. Patreon. Cameron?
Yep. So we want to give thanks to Lee Howard, Mikhail KV, Natalator, Mad Lefty 2097, Admiral Awesome, Happy Moogles, Kung Fu Skills, Hack and Pwn, Cavalier 07, Old Me Clown, which is that, yeah.
Brad?
That way? Brad?
Thank you,
Yeah,
Brad.
cool. Thank you, Brad. The round of applause, Brad. Cool. Anyway.
No. Let's
Okay.
calm down. He's yeah.
Mark B, Mick11 Legend, Mace Edge, Left for Legacy, and McNulty.
Thank you so much, guys. We literally couldn't afford to do the show without you. And all your proceeds go basically back into paying for licensing, competitions, things like that. We ain't retiring anytime soon. I guess that's going to bring us towards the end of the show. Xbox Hall of Gamers, as always, is the place to find us on Twitter and Twitch, and well, I guess X now, whatever the fuck they call it. And all your social...
It's as I said,
it's Twitter. I'm just calling it
Twitter.
Twitter. Okay, yeah.
X gonna give it to you?
No, he's not. He's not going to deliver to them.
No, X is dead.
He is dead, unfortunately. But let's go around the horn. What have we got to shill? Brad, thank you so much for joining us. Have you got anything going on you want to shout out?
If someone wants to buy me Unicorn Overlord, that'd be awesome. But that's about it, because that's an expensive game.
Or a subscription to Final Fantasy when it comes to
Or
Xbox.
that.
What you do is you start a podcast and you crowdfund.
Yeah, exactly.
I am starting an OnlyFans, so
That's fine. Get it up on Feet Finder.
God.
Kia, what about you?
Yeah, well, to start, actually, there is a new Final Fantasy 14 channel in the Discord. Go there for questions if you've got any questions about the game, come into Xbox or anything like that, because I'm helping out with that.
I'm the only one to ask questions at the moment.
Brad needs a buddy, and I need to add more people to the people that are playing list that's on there so we can get some people in the world and stuff. But other than that, I do stream on Twitch. I've had a couple of weeks of health stuff, multiple health things. So I've not been streaming, but I'm still doing my Resident Evil 0 playthrough when I can get back to that, hopefully next week. Kyo Live at Home on Twitch. You can find the notifications for that on Twitter. And you can also find me on Instagram, Kyo Live at Home. And the YouTube actually is HDFG Play, where you can find the VODs for the streams, as well as when I go live, it goes live there too. So
Amazing.
Yeah.
Cameron?
You can find me Shadowless AU, pretty much anything. I will eventually start streaming again. I will let you know when.
Cool.
When the DLC for Age of Empires 2 comes out.
Maybe.
Age of Mythology. Come on.
Yeah.
No, Age of Mythology is
for
definitely
sure.
going to
There you go.
Yep.
There you go.
And I'm Neomaster on everything, True Gems, Xbox, and Discord. I don't stream or do anything. This is the one time that I go out to the public. Otherwise, hit me up on the Discord. That's the place to find me for whatever reason. That's been episode 113. We will catch you guys next week. Thank you for joining us.
Now we fight.